When the word bad just means should not have
No,
occurred.
that's not the case.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Unironically, yes, it is. Sorry, sir. I was a philosophy major with an emphasis on ethics. I'm quite understanding of normative ethics as it relates to these more philosophical conversations. So when we use the terms good or bad, the word good only relates the statement should occur. The word bad only relates the statement shouldn't have occurred in this moral normative sense. Like, unironically, if you don't think that these words are equivocal, please give a good thing that shouldn't happen or a bad thing that should happen. You won't be able to give an example of a bad thing that should happen or a good thing that shouldn't happen because the word good means should happen and the word bad means shouldn't happen.
I'm saying anything in the past, you can't apply that framework because there's no changing it.
So now that we've understood that good does mean should and bad does mean shouldn't, just clarifying, you think that I can't say that American slavery was bad because all that I
never said you can't say that American slavery is bad. I said that
all that I
you
mean
can't
when I
say
say
this
sir,
thing
Winston,
in the past should or should not have happened.
Winston, when I'm saying that American slavery was bad, I'm saying that American slavery shouldn't have happened. What do you mean when you say it's bad? Because if you don't mean that it shouldn't have happened.
I'm not making any moral judgments on the past. You're the one who's doing so.
Winston, I'm asking you to make a moral judgment. Do you think that American slavery was bad?
In which cultural framework which morals do you wish me to apply to this question?
Your morals.
My morals. Then yes.
Okay. So when you say that you think American slavery was bad, are you simply reiterating the sentiment that American slavery shouldn't have occurred?
No, it's a personal opinion that I'm expressing.
Okay. Okay. So then if you don't mean that American slavery shouldn't have occurred, what do you mean?
I mean that American slavery is something that's generally regarded as bad and had done some pretty negative things.
Define bad.
Throughout history.
Define bad. If you don't mean shouldn't have occurred, I don't know what you mean by bad. Define bad. Define bad.
Well, you're saying in my moral framework.
Yeah, under your moral framework, what is moral wrongness? What does that mean? Define it.
This is me just trying to approximate my point of view to.
I answer my question. What is moral? What does it mean for something to be morally wrong?
What does it mean for some? That means that within certain particular moral framework, a choice or action that an actor takes is deemed to be counter to what's deemed good within that moral framework.
Okay, so you're just saying that badness is counter to good. So the definition of badness is counter to good. So then what's good? Define moral goodness. Are you just going to say counter to badness? Because at that point,
no, not
then you're
counter
giving
to
me no
badness.
real definition of what these words mean.
It's whatever the moral framework says it is.
So what does your moral framework define moral goodness as? Like, what do you mean by the word
I don't
good?
really have a very concrete term for description for what I mean by this. I'm
okay, so then you just have a lack of
it.
So you have now basically said that you have a complete and total lack of an ability to tell me what goodness and badness means. The reason why you tell one moment, Winston. The reason why you have a complete and total lack of an ability to tell me what good and badness means is because good and badness means should occur or should not occur. Okay, and you've rejected those definitions, so now you don't know how the fuck to even define these terms because that's the only way you can define these terms. Like for instance, seriously, okay, I want you to give me an example of something that you think is good that should not happen.
So, and abstractly or within time, something is good. Okay, so let's just say
something that is a moral good, something that is morally good that should not happen.
That should not have happened.
Yeah.
I just don't think of the world in these moral terms. Like, I just don't know what you're talking about, Dean. Like,
so I just want to clarify I just want to clarify that you cannot answer the question, what is something that is morally good that shouldn't happen? Because everything that is morally good should happen because moral goodness means that it should happen. So like when I say that American slavery was wrong, all that I mean is that American slavery shouldn't have happened. So if you're telling me that I can't say American slavery shouldn't have happened, you're telling me that I can't say American slavery was wrong.
You're saying should it have gone differently in the past? And I just reject that framing at all in terms of thinking about historical events.
Great. So then you reject the idea that you could call slavery bad. That's all.
I reject the fact that I could. I don't reject the fact that you could.
Oh, there it is. You just conceded. So I just want to make this one clear. Winston, do you affirm or deny the following statement given your perspective? Slavery was wrong.
Yeah, slavery was wrong, for sure.
Oh, but I thought that you can't say things in history.
But that's
shouldn't have
because you
happened.
said to put it into your frameworks, which is what
Winston, I
what
specifically said your framework. When I'm asking you a question, I'm asking you about what you think. So I'll repeat myself. Given your view, can you say that American slavery was wrong?
Given my view,
Given what you think, yes, I'm asking you the question.
well, yes.
Oh, you can say that American slavery was wrong under your view?
Yes,
Therefore, you can say that things in history should have
anything
happened.
is wrong. There's nothing like that's. It's just my own opinion.
So therefore, in accordance
Why
with
are you stopping me from having an opinion?
Then therefore, in accordance with your standard, you can say that things in history shouldn't have happened. So now you
No, I
now
don't
you're
say it should. I'm rejecting the fact that should have is equal to moral goodness, and that you can make judgments as to things happening differently in the past when they definitely could not have happened any differently.
Okay, well, if you reject the view that should have is equivalent to moral goodness, go ahead and give me an example of something that's morally good that shouldn't occur. Because if the terms are not univocal, this just means that some things that are morally good fall outside of the category of should occur, which means they shouldn't occur.
What do you mean by univocal?
Identical.
Oh, identical. Okay. I have to contrive some example here. So you want something that is...
Yeah, something that's morally good that shouldn't happen. If the terms aren't identical, you'll be able to give me an example of something that's morally good that falls outside of the category of should occur. If you can't give me an example of something that's morally good that falls outside of the category of should occur, then the terms are identical.
I mean, I think creating a platonic solid, for example, would be morally good, but it's not something that should occur because...
What's a platonic solid?
You know, like a cube or a dodecahedron, hedron, whatever. You know,
okay, so I just want to clarify that your example is creating cubes is good but shouldn't occur. Okay, yes. Winston, at this point, you're just straight up gibberating?
I'm sorry. I just reject your should have as a appropriate way to judge the past.
Yeah, but I just want you to understand that this is all just a complete fucking cope because you cannot give me an example of something that is morally good that should not occur.
Something that is morally good that should not occur. Okay.
Yeah, this is all just a cope.
So how about this then? Freeing the slaves. That's a moral good, but it shouldn't have occurred because slavery shouldn't have happened in the first place. Is that what you mean? What kind of word games are you trying to play with me, Dean?
I think that slaves should have been freed.
No, I think they should not have been enslaved in the first place.
Two things can be true at once.
Exactly.
I think that individuals should not have been enslaved.
Exactly.
Winston, you just contradicted yourself.
I didn't just contradict myself. I think you just
said that something in history should have occurred. So, I mean, hey, I'm going to go ahead and respond. So first, two things can be true at once. Individuals should not have been enslaved in the first place, but they should have been freed once they were enslaved. But the fact that you said that they shouldn't have been enslaved in the first place contradicts your view that we can't say that things throughout history shouldn't have occurred because you just said that something that happened throughout history shouldn't have occurred. Motherfucker. Dude, you're getting roasted right now. This is unreal. Come on, bro, please.
And, okay, so... You think that in 2028,
skedaddle,
you're going to elect a Democrat?
Concede. You were arguing that you can't say that things throughout history shouldn't have occurred, but you just told me that something throughout history shouldn't have occurred. Damien, thank you for the galaxy. I appreciate you for the love.
I was trying to make a contrived example to fit your something that's morally good.
Yeah, but in contriving this example, you debunked your own position because you said something in history shouldn't have occurred.
If in a moral view, yeah, I think that it doesn't have to have happened.
All right, Winston, you're gaslighting me. Hit the road.
I don't think freeing the slaves has to have happened if there was a possibility for the world to have been different.
We're done with you. Hit the road. Quite frankly, good day. Dude, listen, I'm sorry, man, but like this conversation is unreal. I was trying to be good faith and like honest, and
trying to be good faith too, but you keep trying to push people into particular analogies.
Sure, Sir,
you
you're
know
not
that
being
will
good
work.
faith. Winston, you're not being good faith.
I'm
The
being
reason-
absolutely good faith.
No. The reason why I say that you're not being good faith is because you were trying to argue that we cannot say things that occurred throughout history should not have occurred.
Right.
Then I merely reiterate the sentiment that when we say that something should occur in a moral sense or something shouldn't occur in a moral sense, we're merely reiterating that something is good or bad in a moral sense because moral goodness means it should occur and moral badness means it shouldn't occur. You then rejected those definitions. Then I ask you to give me an example of something that's morally good that shouldn't occur. If these terms aren't identical or there will exist a possible example, you were unable to give me a possible example, but then you gave me like a really half-assed counter response saying that although you don't think that slaves should have been released because they shouldn't have been enslaved in the first place, so then I responded by saying, well, two things could be true at once. They should have been released after they were enslaved, but they shouldn't have been released in the first place. But in using that counterexample, you conceded that things through history shouldn't have occurred because you said that they shouldn't have been enslaved in the first place. That's all, Winston. So I'm either going to need you to concede the entirety of your view or hit the road, because any response outside of a total and complete concession is more gibberish that serves no purpose except to raise my cortisol levels.
Okay, well, I apologize for raising your cortisol levels, Dean, but it's just not a valid argument.
See, the statement, it's just not a valid argument, is cope. You are coping because you've lost this debate. I'm sorry if I'm coming across condescending. I'm sorry if I'm coming across rude, but I'm just trying to be honest.
Yeah, you push me into a corner with a fake, looking for a particular analogy for something, whether it's moral or not, versus should, and some sort of psychology bro, philosophy bro conversation that I don't want to talk about. I want to talk about the election of Donald Trump and why it's too early for you to say that it's a good thing
Winston,
that he got elected or not.
Winston, let me ask you a question. Do you have any like younger cousins, nieces, nephews, etc.?
Sure.
So, have you ever seen a toddler go like this?
La 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 la, I'm not listening to you.
Have you ever seen a toddler do that?
No, but you're changing the subject again. You just don't want to talk about the issues.
So the reason I asked you if you've ever seen a toddler do that is because that is essentially what you are doing right now by saying that you don't want to talk about the philosophy of instantiating claims such as American slavery was bad and shouldn't have happened after you were arguing that we can't say that was bad and shouldn't have happened, okay? I think that that belief is incredibly harmful and it's incredibly detrimental because we should be able to reflect on things that happened historically, condemn them, and for the purpose of never repeating them again moving forward, right? And for the purpose of recognizing the harm attributed and caused to the victims, okay? So that's why I want you to concede, right? Because it's a very harmful view, right? And I need you to just get rid of it, quite frankly. And I've given you everything that you need to get rid of that view, eliminate it from your brain. I just gave you a contradiction because you straight up ended up saying that something throughout history shouldn't have occurred. And
because I
now you're
don't
like,
want
well,
to
you
use a
don't wanna
moral
talk about it.
framework applying it to the past.
Okay, well, you did use a moral framework. And
Well,
you
it's
did
because you
apply it to the
forced me
past.
into by making me do an artificial counterexample to your definition game. I didn't
Okay.
want to
All right,
make that
let's-
example, Dean. There's not.
So
really a
are
good
you saying
example
that I
to that
forced you into
question here.
saying something that you don't believe?
No, you gave me some framework that I had to, hit the dart right in the center of the hole to pass, and it's not really that
Hey, Winston,
valuable.
what do you say that I shouldn't have done that to you?
It already happened. What am I supposed to say about that?
Yeah, that's the other fallout of your view, buddy. You can't say that I should have done that. You can't condemn
I
it. You
can't.
can't call it wrong. It already happened. Yeah, that's right, motherfucker.
Sure.
I could sit here and I could say whatever the fuck I want to you, and because there is a picosecond delay between the time that I'm speaking language with my voice and it is being heard in your ears, you can't say I did anything wrong. I could do whatever the fuck I want right now, and Winston can't say I shouldn't have done it. So why are you
can be
complaining
punished
about
for it.
something
If
that
you wanna be
already
punished, I
happened?
can help you get
I
punished.
have a question. Why are you complaining about something that already happened?
I'm explaining to you what happened because you don't seem to get it. That's not complaining.
Hey, Winston. F you. Should I have said that?
It's a useless question to ask.
Okay, I'm done with this. I'm done with this. We're gonna go ahead and move on to the. We're gonna go ahead and move on to the next guest. Okay. I'm sorry, guys. I was having a little bit too much fun with that one. What's going on, Emily? How old are you?
Okay, wait.
Sorry, you gotta be at least 18 to be on the live. We're gonna move on to the next guest. You guys, if you do support Trump, go ahead and drop a MAGA down below in that chat. And I would like to make this next part incredibly clear to everybody watching. If the live on TikTok does get taken down, the first thing I need every single one of you to do is head over to the link tree in my bio and head over to the YouTube stream. Once this live does get taken down, we will be going to another TikTok at It Might Be Dean. This live is most definitely going to be taken down. I just don't know. My lives are taken down a lot, and that's the truth. What's going on, Annie? Do you support Trump?
I don't necessarily not support Trump. I voted for him just because I think he would be better than Kamala.
Sure, let's have that conversation. Before we do, I just want to thank Jace for the $100 donation over on Venmo. Thank you for the love, Jace. That is absolutely unreal. That is so incredibly kind of you, Jace. Jace says, keep cleaning up the trash. I'll never stop. Quite frankly, thank you for the love. That is so incredibly kind of you. Can we please get at least 1,000 W Jaces down below in the comment section for the $100 donation? I seriously do not deserve that. That is so incredibly kind. Thank you so much for the love, Jace. Thank you so much. And then also Tegan with $1 and Samantha with the $5, guys. Thank you so much. And then Trent with the $10 over on PayPal. Everybody show some love to Jace and to Christian. Thank you so much, everyone, once again for all the love and support. Then also Valerie, thank you for the W guess. Valerie, thank you for the $10 over on YouTube Super Chat. And then Wayne, thank you for the 70 ZAR. Thank you guys so much. But anyways, Annie.
Yeah.
Take it away. Tell us why you think that Donald Trump was a better pick for the presidency compared to Harris.
Okay. I am super pro-life, so that's like my number one issue. That's one of them. And then also transgenders in sports.
Also, wait. Sorry, Annie. We cannot talk about that on the live. We'll get taken down. Full stop.
We will? Oh, okay.
Yeah, full
Never
stop.
mind
No,
then.
just no conversation at all.
Okay.
No conversation at all about that. Yeah. I would like to say that Donald Trump has been accused of rape by more women than there's T women in competing in the NCAA. We'll just leave it at that, though. So now about the first issue, pro-life, we can discuss that. Let's talk about it first. I just want to see what pro-life you hold. Do you hold exceptions? Like, do you think that rape victims should be able to get access to abortion?
Okay, do I have to say grape or else we're going to get banned?
Yeah, TikTok is like very restrictive.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so yeah, for me, I really believe life begins at conception, and to me, it just feels like very I cannot get behind supporting abortion in like many cases. Obviously, if the woman's like life is in danger, I can see that. But
What if she's raped?
For me, I don't think that there's less trauma involved getting an abortion rather than giving life to a human, you know?
Okay. And you know this how?
I mean, just as a woman, I can...
Well, I mean, are you like a woman that's given birth and also gotten an abortion to do a comparative analysis?
No.
Okay, so then, I mean, how does the fact that you're a woman inform you that it'd be less traumatic for a rape victim to get an abortion compared to carry the baby to term? I mean, how
I just imagine that carrying the grief of killing a life would really mess with someone's mental state.
Oh, okay. So you're saying it's more traumatic because they have to unalive the fetus. Color me shocked to believe that a lot of women don't really see much more wrongness in killing fetuses because they don't value them.
Yeah, and that's where I disagree, because I think it's really important to like protect human life, just like as it's stated in the Constitution.
Yeah, I know that you disagree. You're pro-life, obviously you disagree. But the fact of the matter is, they disagree with you. Many people disagree with you, including many people that are pro-life. So I'm not led to believe that they're going to like bear the trauma of being like a quote unquote murderer because they're aborting like a 10-week-old fetus that was caused by grape. So like, why do you think that it'd be less traumatic for a grape victim to go through with a pregnancy and give birth compared to getting an abortion by taking a pill?
I mean, it's a really sad situation either way. That in that case, I definitely am a little bit more like sympathetic and stuff, but I feel like a lot of pro-life advocates do support exceptions for rape and incest, or
Just say grape.
grape and incest. But
So do you mind if you answer my question though? Because you said the reason why you don't think rape victims should be able to get an abortion is because you think it'll be more trauma for the woman. Okay.
yeah,
And I'm asking you why you think that. Last time I asked you this, you said because they'll have to bear the trauma of being like a murderer. Well,
Yeah.
I don't think that a lot of women who get raped and get an abortion think that they're doing anything morally wrong by ending that life. So once again, I'll ask the question: why do you think it's more traumatic for a rape victim to go and get an abortion by taking a pill compared to carrying that baby to term?
I think one brings happiness in life and one is ultimately death. Like, what are
Okay.
you doing? What do you think you're doing?
Well, I mean, for you to say that
What does the pill do?
pregnancy brings a great victim happiness is
No. No.
completely delusional.
It
but
brings
also,
life
Okay, so you're just
rather
saying
than
that they
taking
should
life.
be. Oh, okay. So at the end of the day, you just think that a great victim shouldn't be able to get an abortion because somebody's dying, the fetus.
Yes.
Okay. Can I tell you why I could value that fetus as much as you or I, but still think that that fetus has no right to live?
Sure.
Phenomenal. So here's the question. So let's assume that you barely make enough money to live, and every single dollar you make is spent on food for yourself. Now, every single night for the next 9 months, somebody's going to be breaking into your house and stealing half of your food. There's about a 5 to 10% chance that at some point in the next 9 months, because they're stealing half your food, you're going to die from starvation. Okay? Now, there's one thing you could do to prevent them from stealing your food, and that's to lock your door at night, right? But if you do lock your door at night, preventing this person from stealing your food, they're going to die from starvation because they no longer have access to your resources. Do you think it should be illegal for you to lock that door at night?
In this situation, no, I don't think it would be illegal to lock your door at night.
Right. I agree. It shouldn't be illegal to lock the door at night. I mean, hey, there's like a 5 to 10% chance that you're going to die, as well as you really have no obligation to provide for their needs. So the thing is this scenario is completely equivocal to a fetus
I don't know that it
being
is,
reliant
though.
upon the resources of a great victim to live. Okay, that fetus is going to require the bodily resources of a great victim to live for the next 9 months. It severely erodes and decreases the quality of life for the great victim, not to mention that there's about a 5 to 10% chance that pregnancy will kill the great victim. And the great victim has absolutely no obligation to provide her bodily resources to that fetus for any reason. So the great victim getting an abortion is kind of like you locking your front door at night, even if it results in the unfortunate consequence of that fetus dying. So that's why you could be pro-life, you could give fetuses the right to live, think that they're just as valuable as you or I, or the hypothetical person stealing food from your house at night, but still think that great victims should be able to have access to abortion.
Okay. Do you only believe in abortion in the case of grape then?
No, I believe in an abortion in elective circumstances up until 20 weeks, and I could absolutely give you my reasons why.
Up until 20
Ultimately-
weeks, though?
Yeah, in elective circumstances, and ultimately my reasons why is because I don't value the life of the fetus. But before we move on to why I don't value the life of the fetus, I want you to respond to the argument I just gave you that ends in the conclusion that you can value the life of the fetus while thinking that great victims should be able to have access to healthcare.
I mean, I don't personally agree with that at all. I really don't.
But typically, okay, she left. I'm guessing that she left because of like what you guys were spamming in the chat saying that she was underage. Honestly, I was going to continue the conversation with her. I think it's really important for people that are pro-life to make the exception for great victims. Like, I think that is literally so important. I think that is so incredibly important. So, like, I was willing to continue to have that conversation with her, even if her age was unverified, just because it doesn't take a compromisation of values. Like, you don't have to compromise your values as a pro-lifer to make an exception for a great victim to get access to healthcare. You don't at all. You could hold the same value system that you do today. You could still give the fetus the right to life, okay, while making an exception for great victims. So that's why I wanted to follow through that argument. Now, of course, she's gone. We are going to move on to the next guest. You guys, if you are watching and you'd like to support me, you can find my Venmo and my PayPal and the link tree in the bio, as well as in the pin message over on the YouTube stream. And then once again, we are getting censored super duper hard by TikTok. It is very possible that we are going to get taken down here soon. We tend to get taken down a couple times per day. If we do get taken down, you guys, everyone just go through the link tree in my bio over to the YouTube stream. Once you're on the YouTube stream, we'll be able to direct everyone over to the next account we'll be live on, which is at It Might Be Dean. But yeah, we're going to go and get that next guest up, guys. Go ahead and spam Maga down below in that comment section if you do support the president. And you do want to come up and have a conversation with me. But yeah, let's go ahead and get that next guest up here. What's going on, Story? Do you support Trump? And you do want to come up and have a conversation with. Sorry, yes, an insane echo. So we're just going to go to move on at this point. I don't really see many people spamming Maga down below in that chat. I guess let's just go ahead and try to get the next guest up here. But oh my God. Cole with the $300 donation on YouTube Super Chat. Holy fuck, Cole. Cole says, always hella nervous on what I say. Happy Monday, yo. I hope that you have the happiest Monday of your goddamn life. Okay, I hope that you have the best possible Monday that any human could ever have, because quite frankly, that is nuts. With the $300, that is so crazy, Cole. Thank you so much for the love. I'm so undeserving, but holy W, oh my God, that is so much money. I do not deserve that in the slightest. Everybody, if we could please show so much love to Cole, at least spamming the W Coles in all of the live chats for at least the next 15 minutes while we hop into this next debate here. I do not deserve that at all. That is crazy. And thank you so much for the love. Once again, I hope you have the happiest Monday of your goddamn life. Okay? But anyways, Lilac, what is going on? Welcome up onto the stream. Do you support the president?
I do.
Okay, and real quick, how old are you?
I'm 19.
You're 19, and just to verify that you're 19, what year were you born in?
2005.
2005? What month?
July.
July. Phenomenal. That means you would be 19. So take it away. Tell us why you support Trump.
Okay, so I mainly voted for Trump because of abortion.
Great. I mean, let's just see if we could pick up the conversation I was having with the last guest off with you. But of course, that's reliant on you having the same views as her. Similar to the last guest, do you think that even great victims shouldn't be able to access abortion?
No, I think they should.
Great. So just guys, look at that. You could be pro-life, but think great victims should have access to abortion. But obviously, I'm guessing that you think it should be legal in elective circumstances.
Yeah.
Okay. So can you give me one reason why elective abortions are morally wrong?
Well, you're killing a human life.
You're ending a human life. But I don't think that ending a human life alone is like a sufficient principle to justify moral wrongness. I mean, sometimes we end human lives in self-defense. That's not wrong. Sometimes we end human lives when we pull the plug on a brain dead patient, albeit that is reliant upon life support to live in a hospital. That's not wrong. So just saying that it's wrong because it's merely ending a human life is insufficient.
I mean, I wouldn't say so, because, like, a fetus doesn't have, like...
So do you think that ending a human life is always wrong?
Yeah.
So then self-defense is wrong?
Okay, but self-defense is justified.
So then,
Abortion isn't.
so then all that you're saying is that ending a human life is not always wrong. Sometimes it's justified. So why is it specifically unjust in the context of an abortion?
Why wouldn't it be?
Why would it not be wrong? Well, so that's not a sufficient like response. Okay, I just want to let you know, you can't just say it's wrong unless you prove it's not wrong. Okay, like this is like me saying that skipping rocks on a lake is wrong. Lilac, can you prove it's not wrong?
No.
So therefore it is wrong. See how we don't, that's obviously not good logic. But I can demonstrate that it's not wrong. So I think that elective abortions prior to 20 weeks are not wrong because they don't cause any harm. Okay? The reason why I don't think that abortions cause any harm is because I don't attribute any value to the life of a fetus. I don't attribute any value to the life of a fetus because they do not have the ability to deploy first-person subjective experiences. Why don't they have the ability to deploy first-person subjective experiences, may you ask? Well, because the doctors say so. At the end of the day, I'm not a neurobiologist, but the current medical consensus is that the ability to deploy any level of sentience would arise in human lives at around 20 through 24 weeks with the thymocortical connections. So prior to that point, because they don't have the thymocortical connections, they likely don't have the ability to deploy sentience either, meaning I don't attribute them moral value.
Okay, well, I just believe that like life begins at conception.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So,
Human life does. Yeah, absolutely. But like once again, I just gave you the reasons why that human life isn't valuable. I gave you reasons why it is not unjust to end that human life.
but it is
Okay. Well, so you're making a positive claim now. You're saying it is unjust to end that human life. Why?
because it is.
Okay. Well, when you asked me why it's not, I didn't just say because it's not. I gave you a full, fleshed out, nuanced answer, a cogent
Okay, but I
argument.
think your answer
So,
is wrong.
so do you think it's okay to like legislate on things just because we feel a certain way? Like for instance, when the white supremacists were like, well, black people don't deserve human rights. Do you think it's okay for them to write
Okay,
that
no,
into law just
that's
cause?
no, that's different.
So then like the standard of rationale of just saying it should be this way because it should be this way is not sufficient for us to draft legislation. So in other words, when you say that abortion should be illegal because it should be illegal, it's an insufficient position.
Well, I just think like it's like a violation of like a fetus's rights.
Right. Okay. So what gives a fetus the right to life?
Well, they have like a potential to live and have like human experiences.
A potential to have human experiences in the future, like the conversation we're having right now is a human experience. Sure, they do. Okay. That's fair.
hmm
Okay. But let me ask you a question. Do you think that it's murder to kill a unicellular human zygote, the first stage of human development? Is that morally wrong?
Yeah.
Okay, so you think that women with IUDs, which is a form of birth control, that can typically kill those zygotes by preventing their implantation into the uterine lining, would make a woman with an IUD that's sexually active possibly culpable for murder?
No.
Okay, so then you don't think that a unicellular human zygote dying is murder?
But I do.
So then women that are sexually active with IUDs are possibly culpable for murder?
I mean, I guess so.
All right. That's an insane view. Okay. So basically, it's just as likely that a lot of women on birth control are serial killers as it is likely that abortion is wrong, given your view. I just want to make that incredibly clear. Your logic entails both of these conclusions.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Can we reject the conclusion that women on birth control are serial killers?
Okay, well, I wouldn't say they're serial killers,
Okay.
but
So you do reject that conclusion. Therefore, we should also reject the conclusion that abortion's wrong, given the logic.
it's not.
Okay, so then you have a contradiction in your position. Should we use contradictory logic to draft and create legislation?
No.
Okay, so then we shouldn't use your logic to make abortion criminal. I mean, that's all. So just keep it to yourself then. Admit you have contradictory logic. Say, I think abortion's wrong with really no reason at all. Therefore, I'm not going to impose this view on other people.
Why would I say that?
Because your logic is contradictory, and you just told us that we shouldn't be able to use contradictory logic to draft legislation. Real quick,
Okay,
what
but
time
I
is it?
don't think my logic is contradictory.
What time is it? She's leaving. I heard that British accent too. We're gonna move on to the next guest. Everyone, just go ahead and just give us a moment to kind of get that next guest up in the box. Let's see who's next, you guys. If you would like to come up and debate, go ahead and let me know, and we'll get you up here for a conversation. Make sure that you are also spamming MAGA down below in that chat. I'll go ahead and repeat a couple things. Once this live gets taken down, it's not an if, it's a win. Head over to my YouTube live, and we will all be moving together over to @ItMightBeDean on TikTok. TikTok is pretty busy with their censorship as of recently. So if you want to stay in the loop, just make sure you head to the YouTube, and that's where we will be gathering to determine where we go to next. And once again, you can find the YouTube through the link in the bio. Then also, hey, if you like me, if you like my streams, and you want to support me, you can actually find the link to my Venmo and my PayPal in the link tree in the bio as well as in the pinned message over on YouTube. And I appreciate you guys so very much. What's going on? You were saying that I don't really know anything down below in that chat. Wasn't that you?
Hey, yeah, before you say, I know I've got a bit of a weird accent, but I'm American.
Well, I don't think that's likely, but I
Why?
think that you're probably from Britain. But
Why?
Why? Because 99.99% of the guests that come on my live with a British accent claim they're American, but then they can't tell me what time it is.
Okay, well, the time right now is 4:07 for me.
What state are you in?
Texas.
Texas? What's the capital of Texas?
Austin. You can ask me anything. I'll be able to give you the answer, my brother.
Okay. Well, I don't mind just trusting it. You're good. So real quick, why do you think I don't know anything?
Yeah.
Also, it's likely, I don't know, it's likely that he looked it up because I asked the last guest the same thing, so he was prepped. But like, regardless, I don't really care. I want to know why you don't think I know anything.
Oh, believe me. So, where would you like me to start? Because I got a long list for you, my friend.
Wherever you want to. You said that I don't know anything, so go ahead and demonstrate that Dean Withers has no fucking clue what he's talking about. Take it away.
Who the fuck is Dean Withers? So, basically, I want to talk about what I know about Doge.
Wait, no, I want you to justify your claim that I don't know what I'm talking about.
Your debate with Charlie Kirk, he cooked you.
What did I debate Charlie Kirk about?
A lot of topics.
No, I actually only had one conversation with him about one topic. So you're already off to a bad start.
Well, it's abortion.
Okay, and what was my argument?
I don't know, I'll kind of drown that part out, to be honest with you.
Okay, so you can't tell me what I argued against Charlie Kirk, so how do you know he defeated The View?
Because he's just better, bro.
Okay, and how did he defeat The View? Specifically, what was his counter-argument?
Do you want to debate me or glaze Charlie Kirk? What is this?
Well, I am debating you by asking you what my view was and what his response to my
So
view
you're
was.
pro-life, he's pro-choice. No, you're
So-
pro-choice, he's pro-life.
You got it right the second time, but I just want to clarify. Could you
Thank
tell me
you.
what his response to my view was? With a yes or a no?
You want me to say that?
Yeah, you're saying that he cooked me, but seemingly you can't tell me how he cooked me. You can't even tell me what I argued. So
I just think
seemingly
he cooked you in general.
Yeah, of course you do, because you don't really operate off of fact, reason, and logic. You operate off of emotion.
Did
And
you
if
want
I
to stay
was
on this
wrong in
topic or have a debate?
If I was wrong in my assessment that you don't operate on fact, reason, and logic, but rather operate on emotion, you'd be able to detail how he cooked me. By telling me what I argued
okay. So
against
the
him
Democrats
and
aren't
how he
emotional now.
responded. I'm calling you emotional, and I'm saying that you have absolutely no logical basis to argue that Charlie cooked me because you can't tell me the argument I used against him, nor can you tell me the response to my position.
So you want... Hang on.
So remember back to when you were commenting saying that Dean doesn't know anything, but now less than 2 minutes in, Dean has kind of got you in a logical chokehold here.
Well, it's not a logical chokehold. Just because I
course
don't know
it
what
is.
you said on one debate doesn't mean I don't know anything.
No, it means that the claim, Charlie Kirk cooked me, is rooted in emotion, not in reason and logic.
No, it's very reasonable.
Okay. Well, if it was a reasonable claim to say that Charlie Kirk cooked me, you'd be able to grant evidence by detailing the view that I argued to him and how he cooked me given a cogent response. But you can't.
You did also talk about Trump with him.
No, I actually didn't. I only
You
talked
did.
about abortion.
You did.
That is simply not true.
I might be thinking of Ben Shapiro.
So, yeah, you're already off to a bad start. I had
Okay.
one
Look, are
3-minute
we allowed to
conversation
move
with
on? Because I
Charlie
do
Kirk.
actually want to talk
Thank
to you
so
about
much
some
for the
stuff.
galaxy. Sure, once you admit that you have no reason to think that Charlie Kirk cooked me.
Fine. I hold up my hands. Maybe I was wrong.
Great. We're off to a great start for you justifying your claim that Dean doesn't know anything.
Well, you know what? I
concession
take
in under 2.5
responsibility.
minutes. Trezzy, thank you for the $10 over on YouTube Super Chat. Thank you so much for the love. That is so incredibly kind of you, Trezzy. So now moving on to
W,
the next
Trezzy.
claim. What is one reason that Donald Trump is a good president?
His cabinet, for sure. 100% his cabinet.
I think he has a very terrible cabinet.
Could you give me specifics as to why you think that?
Sure, his Secretary of Defense leaked confidential war plans in a Signal group chat to the head reporter of The Atlantic and then lied about it to the American media, but then had to testify under oath in a congressional hearing that it wasn't a lie. Same thing with Tulsi Gabbard and other cabinet picks that were also included in that Signal group chat.
Is that the group chat with JD Vance?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that, to be fair. Okay,
Is this like another is this another like example of how Dean doesn't know anything? Like silence is definitely indicative of me being.
Well, do you think Elon Musk was a bad pick?
Yes.
Why?
I think that Elon Musk is a bad pick because he's a partisan individual with a swing towards the right, the largest person in the world that has made the largest single-hand contributions to a political candidate in history, which has granted him a stay on like White House grounds, and he is ineffectively running Doge by lying to the American people.
How is he lying?
How's he lying? He's reporting false contracts as being terminated by Doge.
Like what?
Like what? Like the top 5. I don't know like what they specifically were. I think that one was like $168 million.
Oh, so they don't exist.
I was about to tell you the specifics, sir.
You just said you don't know.
Yeah, I think that one of them was a $168 million grant from the Clinton Foundation. But anyways, so the New York Times did a massive piece on the top 5 contracts that Doge had reported as being terminated. And then once the New York Times did this massive piece,
Thank you for the
Musk
rose,
then turned
Elijah.
around. So do people
Sorry.
like typically like interrupt others in a debate when they're winning?
Sorry, you interrupt me when you get donations, so I'm just doing it back.
Well, I mean, see, my donations are a little bit more valuable than your donations.
Oh, so you're saying she doesn't matter for even though she's given her hard-earned money, it doesn't matter?
Well, I'm saying that the people
Just
donating
favoring
to
the
you
rich.
I'm saying that the people donating to you are like Nazis. Meanwhile, the people donating to me
Nazis.
are very good Americans.
Do you know what the word that just came out of your mouth? Define what that means.
No, because I want to stay on track and I don't want to allow you to pivot. But I mean, if you're curious, like I unironically did just see somebody that donated to you that is in another live stream come up and argue that like Hitler was good. So I meant that very seriously. But now to get back onto what I was saying, I would like to clarify that Elon Musk has lied to the American people, quite frankly. My evidence that he has lied to the American people is that the top 5 contracts that Doge had reported were misinformation. And the reason why I know that they are misinformation is because the New York Times went on to report that they were all fake contracts, in which then led Doge to remove their top 5 contracts from their government website, affirming the New York Times claims that they were incorrect. So there's a really big example of Elon Musk lying to the American people. Go ahead.
Okay.
Winnie, thank you for the $10 over on YouTube Super Chat. For facts and reason, I have a liberal bias. That's so true, Winnie. Thank you so much for the love.
Can I talk now?
Yeah, you could respond.
Okay, perfect. I'd like to talk without any interruptions, please. So
Okay.
you can talk about him being a liar, but you're not going to talk about Kamala Harris being a liar.
Okay, so is your response to my claim a pivot to Kamala Harris? I mean, a lot of Republicans do that.
I'm not going to pivot because I don't. Can you pull up the exact article that you're referring to?
You could find it online yourself by just looking up New York Times false Doge reporting contracts. It'll be the
Okay.
first big link. It was the biggest break from them in the last 6 months.
Here we are.
But about Kamala Harris being a liar, I don't really think that
Oh,
she is.
You don't?
No. Donald Trump is definitely a bigger liar. I know that for sure.
Oh, so it's just a matter of, oh, he lied more, she lied more, not the fact that they're all liars.
So typically, it does fall down to a comparative analysis between the candidates to see which one is better than the other. That is what reasonable people do in democratic elections when it's between 2 candidates, sir.
So without the comparison to Trump, do you think Kamala is perfect?
Do I think that anybody is perfect? No, including Kamala Harris. But I think that Kamala Harris is essentially perfect when contrasted to Donald Trump. You probably are too.
Aw. Thanks. Well,
So what's the biggest lie that Kamala Harris has ever told?
probably about the border.
About the border? What lie did she say about the border?
What's the statistic about the... Wait, hang on, let me look this up, if you don't mind, because I don't want to...
Sure, look up her biggest lie ever, man. And by the way, if you're one of the 6.3 thousand people watching and you like to support me, you can find my Venmo, my PayPal down below in my bio, as well as in the pinned message over on YouTube. We're going to mute him because his keycaps are super loud. Also, in the meantime, guys, make sure that we're also double tapping away on that phone screen. Let's try to get up to 1 million likes, y'all. Quite frankly. They never have evidence? No, they never do. Comically loud keyboard, that's a fact. Ask him about the weather in Dublin. Yeah, chances that he's from America are incredibly low. By the way, Polar, you are muted. You're going to have to unmute yourself. Once again, the question is, what is the biggest lie Kamala Harris has ever told?
Maybe about the 10 million undocumented migrants that crossed the border.
Okay, so I'm asking you for a quote from Kamala Harris that would depict the biggest lie she's ever told.
You want
So
us?
just
You want
like
a quote?
people crossing the border with the use of illegal means is not the biggest lie Kamala Harris has ever told. Like I want to know something she's done or said that is a lie. Like I just want the biggest lie she's ever told. Like quoting stats about.
So you're saying this is comparative analysis, correct?
We're not going to move on until you answer my question. I just want to know the biggest lie that Kamala Harris has
You
ever
want me to be
told
honest? I
us.
can't give you a quote, but can you give a quote about Trump? Lie.
For sure. His
Please give me
denial
the
of the
biggest
outcome,
one in your head right now. With all the knowledge you know, give me the biggest one.
His denial of the outcome of the 2020 election for the last 4 years straight, convincing 70% of Republicans to have virtues of distrust in our civil electoral processes by convincing him that Biden rigged it and he was the actual winner. Meanwhile, he was covertly trying to steal the election from Biden by sending fake slates of electors to 7 of his key swing states that Biden had won with fake certificates of ascertainment, which is the total vote from the state, to send back to Congress, and which he then pressured Mike Pence into certifying as real when Mike Pence declined and said that he values the Constitution more than Trump. Donald Trump called Mike Pence a traitor, and then Donald Trump went to Bill Barr, the head of the DOJ, and asked him to falsely promote widespread voter fraud without any evidence. And then when Bill Barr agreed, half of the DOJ threatened to acquit if Bill Barr followed through. So then Bill Barr stepped down. So basically, the biggest lie that Donald Trump has ever told ended up being the largest internal attack on the American democracy since the Civil War, alongside trying to convince half of America that it was justified.
But the thing is, I don't think the lie was exactly peddled by their vote. Had they known about the Hunter Biden laptop, that could have been enough to win him over the election. But also, I'm not sure if it was the CIA, but one of them intervened and hid everything about the Hunter Biden laptop as discovered by Elon Musk when he bought out Twitter and found all these files. So how do you justify the CIA interfering in an election when the people should know? Yet all these people, they had to vote for Biden. But if they had known about his son and the stuff that he had done, the child that he had raised, they maybe would have voted Republican. How do you defend that?
Want to know the big issue with your position?
What's that, my point?
Is that the lie that Donald Trump told included literally rigging the outcome of the election with the use of dumping ballots, ignoring votes for Trump, and which he then installed his own votes for. So, I mean, like the argument saying that, well, if the Hunter Biden laptop story was more popular, only came about 3 years after the election when they realized they had no evidence that it was literally stolen. So it was just kind of a covert attempt to maintain any sense of legitimacy. So I don't mind responding to your questions and claims about the Hunter Biden laptop story, but it is neither here nor there as it relates to the lie that Donald Trump told about the immediate outcome of the 2020 election. Because once again, his lie wasn't just that the election was rigged, but it was rigged because of mail-in ballots, false reporting, ballot dumping, and like ignoring Republican voters votes, etc.
That's completely fair.
The Hunter Biden laptop story is neither here nor there as it relates to my claim.
That's fair enough, and I'm not going to sit here and defend every single quote that he said, but do you think the CIA should be able to interfere in American elections?
So now you're asking me to talk about the Hunter Biden laptop story. I think that conversation would be valuable, but right now that conversation is being used as a tool to pivot. So
Okay, fine. So go back to the old point. I'm sorry.
So like the main point here is that I asked you to give me the largest lie that Kamala Harris has ever told. You came up empty-handed. So then I told you the largest lie that Donald Trump has ever told. And it was actually the biggest lie that any American president has ever told in history, as well as it was the biggest internal attack on American democracy since the Civil War.
But it's technically not a lie. In hindsight.
It definitely was a lie to say that Biden had got the election from him by installing fake ballots, dumping them, double counting mail-ins, etc. Like you understand that he was arguing on the night of the election to stop the vote before the mail-in ballots came in because he thought that the mail-in ballots were rigged for Democrats and it was unsafe voting practices. And he actually told Steve Bannon about this like a month before the election, saying that was his plan. So it's like the lie that he told had nothing to do with the Hunter Biden laptop story and had all to do with him trying to falsely convince the American people that the Democrats had like falsely installed fake votes for Biden.
100%. And I agree with you in the fact that when he did it, it wasn't justified. Obviously,
so could we admit that was the biggest lie in American history?
As of then, yes. In hindsight, retrospective, no.
Okay, so if you're saying in retrospect, no, all that this means is that now we actually do have evidence that like the mail-in ballots were rigged for the Democrats, and that's not true.
But I'm not saying, okay, no. His lie at the time and now wasn't okay. but the overall arc of it being rigged, I do believe in due to the laptop. But I'm not saying
Well,
I'm not defending him. I'm not
once
defending what he
again,
said.
like I've already explained this to you.
Yeah, and the
once.
ballot point,
The
I'm
lie
not
was
defending
literally
him.
it was rigged because the Dems installed fake votes. Like you keep on ignoring that, sir. And
I'm
honestly,
not.
you're beginning to act in incredibly bad faith. Like the only way that statement in retrospect is not a lie is if that statement in retrospect has been proven. Has the statement that the
That
Dems rigged
statement,
the election
no.
with fake mail-in votes been proven?
That quote of the no, it hasn't.
So then even in retrospect, it's a lie.
Well, yes, technically it is a lie, but
Great. So you concede.
yeah, okay, fair enough. I can see that.
Great.
Okay. Roll Tide. But are we allowed to go to the Biden, or do you want to stay on this now?
Yeah, sure, we could go. I don't care about the Hunter Biden laptop story. You want to know why?
Why?
Because you don't care about Donald Trump paying Stormy Daniels to be quiet about him cheating on his wife with a newborn at home with her. And that was election interference in the 2016 election, and that was proven in the criminal court, and you don't give a shit. Nor do you give a shit about his literal coup and attempt to rig the election and steal it from Biden by installing fake votes for himself in Congress. So I'm not going
I've
to care
said
about the
no.
Hunter Biden laptop story until you start caring about those two things.
Okay, so for the first one about his statement, I've already said I'm not going to defend him on that, and there's nothing for me to say there. Like, you've got a good point. I'm not going to come here and die on that hill. Like, fair enough.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Awesome. So then I'll just say that if like the FBI intentionally, misled the public away from the Hunter Biden laptop story, then I think that that's wrong. But I don't think it's comparable to anything Trump did. On top of that, Kamala Harris was in no way involved with the apparent suppression of the Hunter Biden laptop story, meaning that she was not culpable for any of the wrongdoing, meaning that she was a damn near perfect candidate compared to Trump insofar as how these individuals have lied to the American people and how these individuals have served as a threat to the American democracy.
That's a few good points, I can't lie. But I respect you for saying that the FBI interference isn't acceptable, but at the same time...
I said if it was true, it was unacceptable. I don't think that we know if it was true.
Okay.
Here's like my genuine thoughts on like the Hunter Biden laptop story. What I think is most probable is Hunter Biden lied to his dad. His dad believed him. And then before the FBI had direct evidence that it was not Russian misinformation, they acted with extreme precaution, treating it as if it was. So I could say that like the FBI should have maintained a position of non-action and not actively advocated for the story to be suppressed until they had certain evidence swinging one way or another. But I don't think it's what it's cracked up to be insofar as the Biden administration, the FBI intentionally misleading the American people.
So you think it's a matter of they shouldn't have done it, but if they had acted on it, it's not to win him the election, it's to stop Russian propaganda.
Yeah, like I would say that they suppressed the story because they genuinely did think that it was Russian misinformation. But of course, I'd be able to condemn the FBI officials because they didn't have any evidence apart from the word of Hunter Biden, which was probably believed by his dad. I mean, dads believe their sons, right? Only makes sense. I don't really hold Biden too culpable, but I would hold the FBI a little bit culpable.
Well, yeah, that's true. And like I said, wait, I'm really sorry. Could you repeat that last sentence?
Yeah, I think the wrongdoing was the FBI acting as if it was Russian information without any evidence beyond word of mouth. And what they should have done is just waited until they had evidence leaning one way or another before acting one way or another. But I don't think that that is an example of the FBI like intentionally misleading the American people in order to win Biden the election.
Okay, that's fair enough. I hadn't really thought about it from that perspective, to be honest with you.
Is there any other reasons why you thought that Trump was a better candidate?
Sorry?
Is there any other reasons why you thought Trump was a better candidate?
To be honest, there is a couple. If you give me like a few seconds, they'll come to me.
Okay, well, I gotta think a couple people in the meantime, so feel free and take some time to think.
Okay, thank you.
Yo, REI, thank you so much for the $10 over on Venmo, saying my mom and I love you so much. My name is pronounced Ray, by the way. Yo, huge shout out to Ray, that is spelled REI, down below in the comment section. That is literally so incredibly kind of you, as well as Lily. Thank you for the $10 on Venmo. And Valentina for the $50 donation over on Venmo as well. Thank you so much for the love, Valentina. That is so incredibly kind of you. Thank you so much, Valentina. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Valentina says, thank you for everything that you do. Love seeing your lives. They give me hope that our generation is not fully lost. No, I'd say that our generation is going to be stronger than ever in the following years. I think that movements on the left are only gaining support and are only garnering more attention, and I think that's great. Thank you so much for the $50, Valentina. I want to see at least 500 Valentina W's. Thank you, seriously. And then also Trent, thank you so much for the $20 over on PayPal, and for another $50. So Trent with the $70 as a whole, at least 700 W's for Trent. But something very special about Trent here. Trent is a Trump supporter that would like to debate me. This guy's now donated $70 to get my attention so I could bring him up here and have a conversation with him. Trent, you're next up.
Dean, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What is your total analysis of the mass deportations being held out by the Trump?
Yeah, I think that mass deportations place America last. They forcefully remove millions of individuals from the American labor force, and it also is the case that they slow GDP growth because undocumented migrants are productive providers, as well as it's very expensive as undocumented migrants pay over $100 billion per year in taxes on the federal, state, and local level. So the opportunity cost is $1 trillion in the next 10 years, and that's just in government revenues, and ignoring the upfront cost of $175 billion to pull the plan off. I think that the significantly better way to go about the issue of millions of undocumented migrants in America today would be to offer them a pathway to residency or citizenship so they can continue to work in this country, continue to provide for the economy, and continue to look out for themselves and their family, compared to mass deportation, which fails when it comes to humanitarian concerns. Obviously, undocumented migrants are going to have a higher quality of life here than their home country. That's why they came here in the first place. And then B, for the economic concerns in which I just described.
Do you believe the border should stay open?
Well, I mean, I don't really know what you mean by open border. Like, what do you mean by, like, when you say open border,
Okay.
that means that anybody and everyone should just be able to
No. Sorry, I
Lacey, I think you're the
rephrased.
galaxy.
Not as in the way that people say open border, but the way under Biden where they can just, it's way less strict where they are.
Well, actually, I'd argue that the way our border should operate is to have as many legal means of entry into the country as possible, to expedite claims for citizenship or residency for as many people as possible, while only screening out individuals with prior violent offenses. I think that is the best way to efficiently run borders into a country, because when we have borders like we do right now that are very slow, very expensive, and take a long time to come in with very long queues, like that is ultimately the root cause of undocumented entry into America.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good stance. And there is one thing I've always wanted to ask you, but I don't know if you've responded to it already.
Okay, well, hey man, I do appreciate you for coming up, and I do appreciate the good questions. I am gonna go to.
Yeah, I'm British, by the way. No.
That became clear when you started to be more reasonable. Typically, Trump supporters from America don't have that tendency about them. So when I have a guest come up here that has a British accent and is acting rather reasonable, I mean, I'd hedge every dollar in my bank account that you're not from this country.
I didn't think Charlie Kirk coached. He did quite well, mate.
Yeah. Hey, Tori, thank you for the $20 donation over on Venmo, saying I think it's crazy that somebody not from America knows more than your average conservative by a long shot. Yeah, that's another thing. They always do, dude. I swear to God. Like the Trump supporters that will come up here from other countries are typically like much more like level-headed, reasonable, and knowledgeable than Trump supporters from America. But thank you for the $20, Tori. If everyone could please show some love to Tori down below in that chat. And what is going on, Mr. Rodrigo? How are we doing?
Good. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing pretty good. So you donated $70 to get my attention to get up on this live. That is quite a pretty penny just to come and debate me. I feel like very special.
You are very special. Everyone's special. Can I make a suggestion for you? When I tried to donate to you via Venmo, it was asking me for your last four of the phone number, and I could not find them.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that Venmo does that as like a security thing. But there's always a button on the bottom of the Venmo screen.
I didn't see it.
It says like skip without confirming.
Didn't see that. That's why I was just going to make a suggestion. You could make one that just says like 1111, just so it's easy for people if they miss it. But missed that. So awesome. So wanted to talk to you about. It's actually funny because the last guest was just touching on the topic, and it was the cover up of the Hunter Biden laptop. That was what I wanted to bring up. And when you touched on just a moment ago that, you know, you would be upset if it was that, you know, people were actively doing that. We do know that they were, because
Yeah, the FBI was actively covering up the story. No, that was a part of what I said. I acknowledge that.
hold on one second. We do know for a fact that Anthony Blinken requested the letter from the 51 spies. He requested it. He started it. They created a piece of propaganda intentionally to deceive the public that that laptop was fake. That happened.
Okay. 1 second. I'm not. I'm not really too knowledgeable in the Hunter Biden laptop story. I think I know the basics. Let's see here. Unpacking the claim that Biden lied to Congress. Does this involve Biden lying to Congress at all? Because I looked at Anthony Blinken.
No, this involves, I'm on the judiciaryhouse.gov. It's testimony, and the testimony was from Michael Morrell, and Michael Morrell testified. He said House Judiciary and Intelligence Committee, and revealed that Blinken was, quote, the impetus of the public statement signed in October 2020 that implied the laptop belonged to Hunter Biden and was disinformation.
Okay.
So the campaign themselves was contacting 51 people who are ex-spies and everything else. They created a fake document in order to create propaganda, and Biden then used that propaganda in the debate and said 51 intel agents. They literally had that created for him to say that during the debate.
Do you want me to be honest with you? A lot about politics and modern American history. A lot about the policy from the last two administrations and the two campaigns in the 2024 election, and just a lot about super random things that have just kind of popped up in these live streams over the course of the last 2 years. But I don't know that much about the Hunter Biden laptop story. I will offer you two things.
Okay.
I could use the information that I have to try to give you a compelling argument, like why either you're wrong or why we should care less about this and more about things Trump has done / is doing. Or the second option is for me to actually do like deeper research into the laptop story. So when I'm having this conversation with you, I could push back with fact while knowing exactly what you're referencing.
Understandable. This is very easily verifiable within a minute. You can read, 2 little short paragraphs. It happened. That's exactly what happened. And that is a major problem. So I understand you may not know that. I would really, really hope that you will look that up and verify that, because I think that every person in the United States should agree if that is wrong. You cannot use intel agents to create propaganda because your son, and also I wanted to touch on this also. You said that they had the laptop, but they didn't verify it. That's not true. They did verify the laptop prior to that. That is an untrue statement. So the FBI.
Okay, I will happily do more research into it. I'm not gonna lie, I probably wouldn't want the information about the laptop story from you, but like rather from like miscellaneous bipartisan or non-partisan reporting on the topic from the internet. So I could promise you I could look more into the laptop. Here, do you mind if I just ask you a general question?
Sure.
So you are like very worried and concerned about threats to the American democracy to try to sway the opinion, to either sway the public into voting against their interests, or into like forcing the public to vote in a particular way through manipulation.
I think that the number one concern in our country right now is the level of propaganda coming from the left.
Okay. Well, that's not really directly an answer to my question. I'm just asking you if you care about threats to the American democracy. Also, Matt, if you happen to know a lot about the Hunter Biden laptop story, please feel free to pop up. It would not only be an opportunity for a good conversation, Matt, but also be a really good opportunity for me to use a restroom. So, I mean, first, you're saying that you think most of the propaganda in our country is coming from the left. Holy fucking shit. I disagree so much. Okay, it is propaganda that won Donald Trump the 2020 election. Like Donald Trump went parading around saying that he was going to completely get rid of inflation. He went around saying that all. Sorry, I meant to say 2024.
Okay.
And it was Donald Trump who was going around saying that he was going to be able to completely eliminate all inflation, that he was going to be able to drastically drop the price of groceries.
Inflation is going down.
He said that he was going to get rid of inflation. Not to mention, I think the reason why we've seen inflation going down recently is because we're on the brink of a recession.
That sounds bad. Do you remember when they changed the definition of the word recession when it happened under Biden?
So I do know what you're referencing. I'd say I personally hold to the definition of a recession as just 2 financial quarters with negative GDP growth. The reason I personally hold to that definition of a one moment, would you allow me to finish?
Sure.
The reason why I hold to that definition of a recession is because I'm not an economist and I don't really know about the more niche specifics and how like maybe raising levels of unemployment during 2 negative quarters of GDP growth would mean that we shouldn't use this as a definition of recession. But in a nutshell, anyways, the reason why they did try to change the definition of a recession under the Biden-Harris administration in 2022 is although we did see negative GDP growth, we also saw other indicators that weren't necessarily indicative of a economy that was shrinking. I think during that same time, we saw increases in employment alongside a couple other factors. So that's basically when the economists stepped in and they were like, although we do have 2 quarters of negative GDP growth, it is the case that maybe we need to like explain what a recession is and redefine it with like more specific indicators because there's other things going on in this economy that aren't indicative of a recession. But for all intents and purposes, I am okay of accepting the more classical definition of 2 quarters of negative GDP growth. And what I'll say here is that under the current administration, it will be Trump's policy that is 110% responsible for the manufactured recession. He is causing it. Meanwhile, the 2 quarters of negative GDP growth under the Biden-Harris administration were not caused by them or their policy. In fact, they were caused by the pandemic, in which they did a very good job at mitigating the negative consequences of.
So that's a very long-winded answer for I'm right.
Wait, if your original claim was just that they tried to change the definition, you're right. But I explained why that's not necessarily a bad thing.
So you're
And
explaining
on
to
a more
me,
conceptual level.
I understand that you're explaining to me how they explain creating the propaganda. I understand that. The
claim that that's propaganda, I don't think that's
propaganda.
true. So I don't think that's true. I mean, I don't think that like economists refining the definition of a term because we saw other indicators in the economy that were indicative of a growing economy, not necessarily a recession is a bad thing.
Dude,
but I think overwhelmingly the claim that I'm making that I'd love to hear your response on is, while it is a case that I don't think the Biden-Harris administration caused the negative implications we saw in the economy in 2022. Meanwhile, I do believe that it is the fault of the current administration's policy for the manufactured recession that we're barreling towards.
Well, that's a complete hypothetical because you don't know that. And we do know for a fact that it was
I'm confident in saying that I do know that. I'd say that I do know that we are barreling towards a recession. Yeah, I'd say that I know that.
Okay. Well, it hasn't happened yet, so I would rather not talk about it. But going back to what we were talking about earlier.
The idea of barreling towards it is happening right now. That is happening.
Okay. The thing that I'd like to go back towards is the defending democracy. That is the number one issue, I believe, for a lot of people on the right, is to stop this weaponization that the left has put into place with the DOJ, FBI, CIA. It's a major problem. And until the left really takes accountability for what they've done, we can't move forward as a country. You guys have to take accountability for this and hold your representatives accountable because they lied to everyone for years about a bunch of BS.
So I do think it is important for us to hold our representatives accountable. However, I do not believe that the Biden-Harris administration weaponized the DOJ against Trump, and specifically as it relates to your claim about defending democracy. In fact, I argued the same thing before the election, and I do still yet to this day, because Donald Trump has posed the largest internal threat on the American democracy since the Civil War when he tried to steal the 2020 election from Biden.
Oh my goodness! You're ignoring the 2016 election that Hillary Clinton and them tried to overthrow Trump with the Russia lie? Russia denying elections. The OG is Hillary Clinton and the Democratic Party.
So about 2016, it is the case that it was proven via the Mueller report that Russia had interfered with the 2016 election and had even colluded with some of Donald Trump's closest friends.
That was never proven. That was never proven.
Yes, it was by the Mueller report. Yeah.
Okay, so here's my question, and we're gonna.
Wait. Can you just recognize that what I said is true? Like, it was proven that Russia did interfere and did collude with people like Rudy Giuliani.
I do not know that is true. No. I've read a lot of stuff. You're going to know that in just a second. So
Robert Mueller found, because he was investigating Trump specifically, he found that Trump...
I'm going to go pee real quick.
Okay. He found that Trump specifically did not know or was not involved in any Russian collusion, right?
one
That's what
was.
he found. But he found certain people in the campaign who were trying to do it. People like Paul Manafort, people like George
What do you mean?
Papadopoulos, people like that, right?
No, that's not true at all. That's not
That
true.
is true.
No,
George Manafort
was-
went to prison because
Yes, George
of the fact.
Papadopoulos went to jail too, and he went to jail for lying. He didn't.
No, they go into
nothing to
line.
do
But if you read the report, which I got on my bookshelf, by the way,
I
if
read
you
the
read the
report.
report, he found substantial evidence that certain people in the campaign, right, sought the Russians to get information on Hillary Clinton, right? Now, that does not mean that Donald Trump directed it or knew about it, right? That's not the claim, right? But the primary argument of the report was that Donald Trump did met the case for obstruction of justice, right? That was the primary thing about it, right? But I think no one really denies, one, that the Russians tried to influence the race, and two, that certain people in the campaign sought an agreement with Russia. It's just that they failed at getting that agreement.
What was the
right?
agreement they sought?
To get dirt on Hillary Clinton in order to influence the race. One of those propaganda points that you brought up, because I will admit.
Okay,
hold on. I will admit certain things about the left being quote unquote propaganda. If you admit certain things about the right also being propaganda.
I will definitely do that when you point it out. Here's my question.
Wait. Okay, I did, and you pivoted away from it. I just want to clarify that just to like roll off of what Matt just said. It's funny because what Matt just said, that what I just walked back to, is exactly what I was going to say the next time I got the mic. Is that you are like changing this conversation to Hillary Clinton.
Address
Whoa. Changing this conversation to 2016 with Hillary Clinton to completely escape holding Trump to any level of accountability for literally trying to steal. No. To literally change the conversation to escape giving any accountability to Donald Trump for literally trying to install himself for a second presidential term in 2020. He literally tried to risk from the swing states.
I'll talk about all that with you, I promise, and I'll disprove of many of the things you're saying. But first, can we acknowledge that in 2016...
I actually brought the... No. Right, we can't, because I brought 2020 up first, and then you use that as a tool to pivot to 2016.
Because you said it's never happened in human history, and I said...
I said this is the largest internal attack on the American democracy since the Civil War, which is absolutely true.
And it's not, because 2016 was, and the people have been charged for lying.
So you think that 2016 was a larger internal attack on the American democracy compared to 2020?
Yeah. Are you kidding?
I want you to be able to get. I want you to be able to provide. I want you to be able to provide those reasons after you at least address and acknowledge that Donald Trump did try to steal the election from Biden in 2020.
I do not acknowledge that at all.
And that's why, frankly, that's why I'm going to reject all your propaganda claims about the left.
Because you can't.
Because you can't see.
And tried to.
No, I'm sorry. Because I granted you.
Answer my questions about the OG of who's.
Sorry, Dean. I'm gonna mute him because I want to say something. So
actually, I think I muted him before you did.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, no. I am not going to have a dishonest debate. If you're going to come in here and claim things about the left, which, fine, you can do that, and we can talk about that. But one of the classic case studies of the last 10 years has been the whole Stop the Steal propaganda myth, which is a case study in propaganda orchestrated by Donald Trump. The idea that it was a day of peace, that there was nothing going on, that everything was rigged, blah, blah, blah. That is a case study in the right wing propaganda, and if you admitted that, then I would admit that on the left there was clearly some examples of propaganda too. But unless you admit that, then I'm not going to play this game.
And here's exactly what we want you to admit to. The following statements that I am going to make are facts, and they've been admitted to by Donald J. Trump as well as his lawyers, such as Will Scharf. Okay. In the 2020 election, Donald Trump tried to steal the election from Biden by sending fake slates of electorates to 7 states that Biden won. Once these fake slates of electorates were in the 7 states, they sent false certificates of ascertainment, which is the total vote from those states, from the state to Congress. Once those fake certificates of ascertainment hit the floor of Congress on January 6th, Donald Trump then directed Mike Pence, his vice president, to either feign ignorance over which votes were real and which votes were fake, so the election would be kicked back to the House, so the House could install Trump, or he expected Mike Pence to accept the fake votes to install himself for a second term. Okay? This has all been admitted to, both in congressional hearings, okay, such as Jack Smith's case against Trump, as well as it's been admitted to the Supreme Court by his attorney, Will Scharf. And in fact, Will Scharf, his legal representation then and now, has spoken about this on CNN. He was interviewed by a lady on CNN. She straight up asked him, what about the fake votes your guys sent into Congress? And then he was like, we don't call them fake votes. We call them alternative votes. And well, we tried to rig the election from Biden because we think Biden stole it from us, which is obviously proven to be false. So everything I just said is true and has been admitted to by Trump.
Are you guys done with that now?
Yeah, I just want you to acknowledge that every word that just came out of my mouth was factual, undeniable facts.
I don't know that because I've not read any of that. The same way you didn't read the Hunter Biden report, and you won't talk about that.
I'll go ahead and I'll play you a clip of Will Sharp talking about these things. So
yeah, but anything can be taken out of context. Why won't you play a clip and look up the Hunter Biden laptop
I'll
stuff
play
that
whatever.
I sent you?
I'll play whatever clip you'd like me to. But right now,
specifically to a scene in Anchorage from Biden. I think I disconnected there for a second. I don't really know what just happened.
but anyways,
Yeah,
I'm
you
back
did.
Now. What happened?
I don't know. He just went on pause.
Interesting.
Yeah,
okay.
strange.
By the way, if you're one of the 6.2 thousand people watching over on TikTok, guys, make sure that we're double tapping away on that phone screen. I'm gonna go ahead and play this clip. Let me find it real quick. I always reference the same clip from the same YouTube video. Here it is.
Conduct, the immune acts in the indictment are stripped away, that Jack Smith doesn't have a case, that this case should be dismissed on that basis. I don't think there's sufficient private.
I thought it on. This is Will Scharf. This was Donald Trump's legal representation in 2020 and is still his legal representation today.
Conduct here to support the indictment, to support the ongoing prosecution. And that's what we're going to be litigating in front of the district court now.
Even just the false slates of electors, you don't think that would constitute enough for a trial?
Well, we would say alternate slates of electors. And as we argued before the Supreme Court, alternate slates of electors have been a method used by previous presidents, most notably Ulysses S. Grant, to ensure the integrity of prior elections. So we believe the assembly of those alternate slates of electors was an official act of the presidency. That's what we argued before the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has reserved that issue for determination by the district court, and we'll see how arguments fall in front of the district court.
Yeah.
So just like to reiterate what he said. So she asks him about the fact that he sent fake slates of electorates with fake votes to send to Congress. He's like, well, we don't like to call them fake. We call them alternate. And he argues that he did this to ensure the integrity of the election, which all that means is that they thought that the outcome of 2020 was not one with integrity because they thought Biden had stole it from them. So to quote unquote ensure that integrity, they tried to rig it back.
What did the district court filing? What was that ruling?
So I don't think any rulings were ever made.
So that's a claim that by a person in a court that means nothing.
Well, the reason why this means a lot, even though a ruling was never made by courts.
So nothing was proven. You told me it was proven, and it was not. You do not have a court ruling.
It was proven. If you would allow me to finish.
Go ahead.
So the litigation in the district courts and to the Supreme Court wasn't over if Donald Trump had done these things, because a part of Donald Trump's legal argument was to admit to them. The litigation in the district court and to the Supreme Court was rather to dictate if Donald Trump should receive criminal repercussions or if he should be immune because he was president. My claim is just that he did these things and that it is a fact that he did these things. And my evidence that it is a fact that he did these things is because he admitted to them.
Correct, because they're not illegal. I'll admit to driving down the
Oh
road
my
the
God.
proper speed limit.
So
You
let
don't
me get
have
this
a-
straight. Let me
so
get this
let
straight.
me
So
get
if
this straight.
child
You
marriage
said
was
something-
legal and Donald Trump married a kid, it'd be fine because it was legal.
So you said that you had a fact that these things happen, and it is
Yes.
not a fact.
Yes, it is a
Then
fact
show
that
me
these
the
things
court
happen.
Filing. Show me the court filing. You can't because it never happened. And
Sir,
everything that you
sir,
just
with all-
said.
What
with all
makes
due
it
respect, if you-
illegal?
Wait.
Sorry, Dean. Go ahead.
I want you to be able to explain that, Matt, because there's a very strong argument that it's illegal. Okay? You're interrupting me again. I'm about to charge you another $70 to stay up on my live because you were becoming very insufferable.
Proving you wrong.
So no, you're not. I'm going to go ahead and reiterate the position. Okay? My position is that it is a fact that Donald Trump tried to steal the election from Biden in 2020 by
That's not.
Sir.
I just proved it to you.
$5 already right there. Every interruption, $5. Come on, dude. Just act your age, and I'll stop yanking your leg. I'll stop fucking with you if you could just listen to me.
I will listen to you.
So my argument is that it is a fact that Donald Trump tried to steal the election from Biden in 2020 by sending fake slates of electors to 7 key swing states with fake votes that he then sent back to Congress. Okay? My evidence for that is that he admitted to this all in court. Okay? And in fact, I just played you a clip of his lawyer saying that their argument was for Donald Trump to admit to it, but then to try to argue that it was legal because he should have immunity as he was president. The big issue with you saying that guilt was not determined in court, therefore I don't have evidence for my claims, that would only be true if the guilty verdict that I was seeking from those court cases would have proved that he was guilty for trying to rig the election. But that's not true. He admitted to trying to rig the election, and all a guilty verdict in these courts would have meant was that it was illegal for him to do so, as he does not have immunity because he was president. But once again, I'm not making an argument from legality, okay? I'm making an argument from morality and what this means for America's future. I don't care if cooing our civil and electoral processes is legal. If a candidate in a presidential race does this, or if a current president has done this in the past, that should automatically disqualify them from it, point blank, period. So now that we understand that I'm not making an argument that he did something illegal, although that argument can be made, I'm rather making the argument that he literally admitted to trying to steal the election from Biden.
Okay, I heard all of that. And now can I say everything that you just said, you keep saying this, but let me ask you a question. Has any other president done this before?
Well, they said the last president who did it was Ulysses S. Grant following the Civil War.
Okay.
The answer is no, by the way. No.
So there is precedent.
No, there's not precedent.
So they're filing this
Grant
case
did not send false states of electors. Grant sent observers down to the southern states because he did not want the southern states to do a bunch of like crap with like ballot posting and stuff like that. That's what he did. So yes, Grant did stuff, but he didn't send false slates of electors. That was a election that was highly disputed, because the southern states were like doing a bunch of like highly bad stuff. That's why.
And also, I'll just make it incredibly clear that if Grant did do this, this just means that I'd never vote for you.
Means that Trump had legal precedent to do this. You keep saying that he tried to steal it. What he did was he filed legal documents.
You understand that you're arguing that he just tried to legally steal it. Can you
No.
that?
By the way,
He filed a legal document that everyone's allowed to file.
No, that's not true. No, actually, what you just said is wrong. You know why? The underlying legal claim for why these electors are fake and therefore illegal is because the actual documents that they filed, the certificates of ascertainment, were themselves fake. They were
and you can see them.
They were illegally drafted. That makes the electors. That makes the electors that come from. Dude, let me talk. For the love of God, man. That makes the electors from those documents therefore illegal by definition.
Right. Then also, you could even read. You could read emails that the governor's offices of these 7 states sent to Congress saying that they have no clue where these fake certificates of ascertainment come from. They are not theirs. They are not official. They are unofficial. And they are not the real total vote from the state.
Sounds terrible. Take it to court and then see what happens.
We did, and we tried, but his
and
conservative
nothing
buddies
happened.
ruled that the president basically can do whatever the fuck he wants.
So let's move on from the topic because
no. The reason I'm not willing to move on is because you basically saying that the president gets to do whatever he wants and you only care if it's illegal is terrible. Like that is such a bad fucking standard. You know, like imagine this. Let's imagine that after the Supreme Court, you did. Let's imagine that if after the Supreme Court made their ruling about presidential immunity, and then Harry Sisson sent out that tweet where
let's
he was
talk
like,
about reality.
Sir,
what did happen?
Sir, and then
You
Harry
don't
Sisson,
let people speak.
Sir,
You're
I don't
getting
let people speak while they
destroyed.
interrupted me. And then Harry Sisson sent out that tweet where he was like, well, now Biden could legally send SEAL Team 6 to take Trump out before the election. Imagine that was true, and Biden did do that, and then it was litigated by the Supreme Court that he has presidential immunity and what he did was not criminal. Do you think it would be a fair argument that Biden was trying to impede upon the American democracy and nobody should support or vote for him because he literally unalived the person he was running against, even though it was legal?
I don't like playing hypotheticals. I just know that this happened.
Because it's hypothetical is your argument, but I digress.
The argument was that I'm telling you that there's no court case and there isn't, and you have acknowledged that.
Engage with court cases.
You acknowledge it's not a fact and you were wrong.
Please engage with the hypothetical. I understand that this is stressing Matt the fuck out because Matt's over here like, oh my god, I could prove.
No, it's because there was a court case. It was just dismissed.
Yeah,
it existed.
You guys out.
But
Okay,
I want you to respond to the hypothetical. No, nobody's moving on anywhere. When the Supreme Court made their ruling that presidents have immunity from the things they do, and then Harry Sisson sent that tweet out, and he was like, now Biden could like literally unalive his political opponent with SEAL Team 6, and what he did would be legal because he's immune. And that statement was true. And then Biden did end up unaliving his opponent, and then it went to the Supreme Court, and they did rule that presidential immunity would apply. Do you think it'd be a valid argument to say that you should not vote for Biden because he literally unalived his his political opponent, even though it was technically legal?
It wasn't legal because your premise in the first take
is a hypothetical. Okay, third grader, this is a hypothetical. Do
you
your
can't
best.
create a hypothetical.
Yes, you can. Quite frankly, I'm doing it. I'm doing it right now.
You know you're doing
if
it.
Biden legally unalived the person he was running against in the election,
He can't do that.
It's a hypothetical, assuming that he could. All right. Do you think there would exist a valid argument that you shouldn't vote for Biden because he's a threat to democracy, even though what he did was legal?
I don't even understand what in the hell you are asking.
Okay, well, let me clarify. Okay.
Okay.
Biden legally unalives the person he's running against. Do you think it'd be a valid argument to say you shouldn't support him because he's a threat to democracy?
Yeah, I think that would probably be a bad idea.
Or do you think that it would be a really good argument to say that you should never support that guy because he's a huge threat to democracy?
Yeah, if the hypothetical that you just said that is not in reality, that would be a bad thing.
All right, and that's exactly what I'm saying. So, sir, we could sit here all day and go back and forth about the legality of what Trump did, but at the end of the day, quite frankly, I don't give a fuck because regardless if he was immune or not immune from criminal repercussions for literally trying to rig the election, he still literally tried to rig the election, okay? And I think that fact on its own serves as a huge threat to the American democracy, and the fact that you have the boot so far down your throat that you think merely arguing, well, he's a president, therefore he's immune, therefore what he did was legal, it's just you being sympathetic to authoritarianism. It is you being sympathetic towards fascism. You know that guy, Mr. Putin, over there in Russia? You know, he's unalived a shit ton of the people that have ran against him in his presidential elections. And every single time it's been legal. Every single time. What about North Korea too? Apparently my mic is going to shit. Give me a moment.
No, it sounds fine to me.
Yeah, I heard all of it.
Interesting.
Okay. Sorry, I had to unplug it and plug it back in. Actually, no, it's still popping.
So you just said during that vomit that immunity is the reason the case was never brought. That is not true. Immunity had nothing to do with this. So the case was never, that is not why this case was not brought. So again, you're wrong.
Which case?
Give me a second. Okay, Chad, are we good now?
Yeah,
I think
that sounds good. Yeah.
Sorry. It was popping really bad over on YouTube. But anyways, basically, at the ground level, my argument is I don't give a shit about the legality of what he did. I don't give a shit about what conservative judges said or didn't say. The fact of the matter is, he tried to install himself as president when he lost a public election, and that alone should be a red line that you hold against him.
Here's what actually happened. He filed a court case and meant for it to go to the Supreme Court so he could do that. Then January 6th interrupted that from happening, and then all the Republicans switched over and they moved forward. That's what actually happened.
So I just want to clarify, you deny that he tried to install himself for a second presidential term?
No one, of course I deny that.
Okay, well, I think that you have no base to deny that because
How
he
could
literally...
Why?
Yeah, because he tried to like get himself in the White House without winning in the Electoral College by manipulating the Electoral College.
And how did he do this?
With fake certificates of ascertainment that.
But he filed a lawsuit in order. So he went to the court and said, "Hey guys, look, this is illegal. I want to file a lawsuit." And you're saying that means he was trying to steal the election?
He didn't get the
No. That
from
came
any court to
after.
send the fake slates of electorates. That
Yeah,
came after.
that was after.
Like what he did
Right,
to
he
install
filed
himself
the electors
was he
and-
sent the fake slates of electors to the states with the fake certificates of
Right.
ascertainment that you can actually see if you Google.
Right, so
I'm
then
actually pretty
what
sure that there's
happens-
pictures of
Right.
the fake certificates
So
of
then that
ascertainment
triggers a lawsuit that never happened.
on the Wikipedia page, specifically of the fake electorates. And then when the fake certificates of ascertainment got back in the hands of Congress, that's when Mike Pence was like, I value to deny these fake certificates of ascertainment, and I'm going to elect Joe Biden, right?
Yeah. And
I'm
some
like,
states. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Dane. I'm sorry.
I mean, I was also just gonna like add on and clarify that you could even like listen to a clip of Mike Pence saying that I no longer support Trump because Trump asked me to place him above the Constitution. And I mean, this isn't even like referencing the fact that Bill Barr got cooed out of the DOJ for considering running along with Trump's plan of falsely announcing widespread voter fraud. And by the way, everything I just said was true. You will not be able to deny. You will not be able to deny any one of those individual statements. You can't deny he tried to get fake votes for himself in Congress to install himself for a second term, and that's a fact of the matter.
Where did you hear the Bill Barr information? Because I've never heard that.
Bill Barr told us himself.
Yeah.
So Bill
wrote a
Barr
book.
stepped down because he was going to follow Trump's.
Yeah, no, he stepped down because he was asked to do it, and he said, I cannot do it, and he said, I'd rather step down, and so he stepped down because he was not going to do it.
I thought he
so
said
the claim
that
is
other
coming from
people-
Bill Barr's mouth.
What?
The evidence for the claim is Bill Barr. The
Yeah.
evidence that Trump tried to pressure Bill Barr into falsely announcing
Right,
widespread
I'm well
voter
aware of
fraud
all
is
of that
Bill
happening.
Barr.
I thought that you said other people forced him to step down because Bill Barr was going to go along with it.
Well, I mean, the
I've
other
never
people. I
heard
mean,
that.
technically, Trump put like a pressure campaign on him, saying, "Do this or I'll fire you," and he's like, "Well, I'd rather just step down," and so he just like stepped down. But like he
Right, I know
was
that.
being pressured to do something he didn't want to do.
I know all that. I'm saying he made the claim that other people were forcing Bill Barr because Bill Barr
No,
was
a
going
lot
to
of
come
a lot of DOJ employees threatened to quit if Bill Barr did it.
Okay, I know that he quit because Trump was asking him and that he didn't do it. I know all that. I was just simply saying I'd never heard that. It was just confusion. So point being is that what Donald Trump did was he did something another president has done in the past. He did it. It went to court and it was
Matt
never
did-
finished up in court.
Matt disputed that claim too.
Well, he can dispute it and then we can go to court and figure it out, which we were never able to do.
I
just wanna
disputed
clarify.
your claim, not Trump's claim.
So I just want to clarify, like the crux of your position is essentially that you think Donald Trump tried to legally steal the election, right?
It's not stealing the election when you do something legal. When
It
somebody
wasn't
else-
legal.
Here, the crux of the matter
Well,
is.
let me go ahead and
Hold on.
I'm going to go ahead and define steal the election, and I want you to tell me why I'm wrong, okay?
Dude,
is that fair?
I'm sighing because we've been over this like 5 times.
I know. So when I say steal the election, all that I'm saying is that the people voted against him. So then he just made fake votes from fake people that were for him. Like, that's all. So that's what I mean by steal the election. You're just arguing the way he made the fake votes from fake people.
That's not even what he was
legal.
trying to do. All he wanted to do was send it back to the states so that
Wait,
they.
certificates of ascertainment were. So like a certificate of ascertainment is a single piece of paper where it totals the votes from the constituents of a state, and it shows how many people voted for red and how many people voted for blue, and then how many people voted for the miscellaneous independent candidates. Okay, so the fake certificates of ascertainment that Donald Trump installed just like had a fake amount of people voting for him. Like they upped the number
Not
of people
even that
voted
though.
for
Like
Trump.
it goes worse than that because the ascertainment has to be signed by the legislature, and so they forge signatures in order to make it official.
Yeah. So like
that makes it worse.
Yeah. So what's proven once again is that he tried to what you think is proven is that he tried to legally steal the election by legally installing fake votes from fake people for himself, right?
Nope.
Okay,
You
so
just keep
wait.
trying to twist
So
everything,
I just want to clarify. So you don't think that the apparently legal fake certificates of ascertainment he sent to Congress had fake votes for himself? So they were all real votes for himself? Because they're either real or fake. So all of the votes on his legal fake certificates of ascertainment, were they real or were they fake?
Dude, none of that even matters.
No, I want you to answer the question. The votes on his alternative certificates of ascertainment, were they real or were they fake? Like the actual votes, were they real or were they fake? The actual votes on the certificate of ascertainments that he had.
They were alternative, yes.
I'm asking you about the literal vote tally on the piece of paper.
I have no idea. Read into this.
So like the real certificate of ascertainment from the governor's office.
Nobody cares about this.
Let's just say from like Wisconsin, 20K votes for Biden, 15K votes for Trump. The alternative certificate of ascertainment for Trump, 20K votes for Biden, 25K votes for Trump.
By the way, I'm sorry. He just said that nobody cares about this. This is the Constitution here. Like, I'm sorry. Like, you might not care because you don't. I guess I give a damn about like our system of like governance, but I care. Dean cares. Millions of people in this country care because we care about having a orderly constitutional system.
Like the American people being able to elect our public officials, specifically the president. Like, of course I care about that. But answer my question. So, like the vote tallies on his alternative certificates of ascertainment, were those vote tallies real?
They're
or
fake.
Were those vote? Okay.
Yeah,
so there we go. So you think that Donald Trump legally installed fake votes from fake people from himself, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. So in other words, fake votes from fake people to win an election is what I call stealing an election
with fake
signatures. So in other words, like according to you, Donald Trump tried to legally steal the election.
I'm well aware what you believe it means, but it doesn't mean that to most other people. That's why Trump won re-election.
So you don't think that installing fake votes from fake people to win an election is stealing
and
an
nor
election?
does the majority of the public. Because Trump won again.
So I just think that you're completely incoherent.
So appealing to the public means nothing to me. I'm sorry. Like it means nothing to me.
For real. But I just want you to repeat after me. Okay. Okay. Tell me if I'm doing anything wrong. Tell me if I'm saying anything wrong. Are you okay? Is that okay with you?
Yep.
If you're in a Democratic election and you install fake votes from fake people for yourself in that election to win the election in which you would have otherwise lost.
He didn't do that.
You stole the election.
He didn't do that. He put them there to.
We'll get there. We will get there.
He sent it back to the
We'll get there. Stop. If we're in election and I install fake votes from fake people for myself to win the election, did I steal the election?
That would be stealing an election, correct?
Okay, so if you use fake votes from fake people, it means that you're trying to steal the election. All right. So all that this means is that you do think that Donald Trump tried to steal the election. You just think it was legal.
Rightfully his. So he can't steal something that's rightfully his.
Okay, so the underlying argument here is that you think that the election was stolen, and therefore any method that Donald Trump uses to quote unquote reclaim the election is therefore legal.
Also, I don't think that you have a right to do anything that's legal. I think that is an incredibly terrible idea.
Will you just tell us what the fuck you think? Because I'm like, we are asking you these questions, and you're like saying, no, I don't think that. Yes, I do think that. What do you think? Do you think that Donald Trump did anything wrong?
No.
So you think if something's legal, it's not wrong.
I think that he believes the election was stolen, and he was doing what he believed was in the best interest, and it was legal for him to do that.
So I just want to clarify, just because something's legal doesn't mean that you could rightfully do it. Like, I don't think I could rightfully scream the N-word right now.
Yeah, you can. I mean, it's not smart and it's stupid to do, but you can do it.
So you think if you can do something, you should do it?
No one made that claim. Why do you guys continue to do that?
What do you mean by rightfully, then?
I can rightfully do all kinds of things.
What do you mean by rightfully?
I have the right. Donald Trump had the right to say this election was
so
stolen.
all that you're arguing is that Donald Trump had the right to steal the election.
Donald Trump had
actually no.
Donald Trump had the
do you
duty
think
of
that Donald Trump had the right to say it?
America to have a fair election, and there was not a fair election in 2020. Period.
Okay. No. Okay. Okay. So, do you believe that Donald Trump? One, that he believed it, but you can believe something that is incorrect, and that still doesn't make it like not wrong and like not illegal.
Yeah, like if you
Right.
believe that a 12-year-old can consent and you grape a kid, like that doesn't mean that you didn't do anything wrong.
That's
No,
illegal. Ding dong.
No. Donald Trump can believe, but he can't fake signatures. He can't fake documents. He can't do things that are illegal in order to get that effect.
It wasn't illegal. That's what we went over.
It
It's
was
not
illegal. People
It's
were
not.
found guilty of that.
Guilty of what?
Forging documents. Fake signatures of a plot to send fake certificates to Congress.
Yeah, who developed the Pence card?
In the 7 states.
Who developed the Pence card? Well, who developed that? What was the lawyer's name? Rudy Giuliani, then one other lawyer. Who was it?
Do you guys?
Two of his lawyers lost their law licenses.
It was Giuliani and
who's the other guy?
I don't know.
Such a forgettable name.
John Eastman.
John Eastman, there you go. Yeah, John Eastman and Rudy Giuliani developed this theory, and they ended up losing their law licenses for it.
Do you
if it was so legal, how come the lawyers that made it up lost the right to practice?
But not even that though.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead.
With all this and all this discussion, would you guys agree, and I obviously everyone should, that the thing that we need to do more than anything is to instill maximum amount of trust in our electoral process so that no one in January 6th never happens again? Do you guys have IDs, vote in person,
No, I reject that. No,
I'm not letting.
So you guys
I'm not letting
that.
you change the topic of
Do you
conversation.
guys want this to keep happening?
I reject that.
I'm not
guys
going to
want
let
this
you
to keep-
change the topic of conversation, sir. Anything. I'm not going to lie. If you're going to sit here and say that you think that Donald Trump had a right to steal the election, he was totally
I didn't say
based.
that. I said he had a
totally,
right to
shut
file
up.
those.
Totally based, totally justified. Big Daddy Don up in the house doing whatever the fuck he wants, and I'm going to suck on his boot anyways. You're never going to be able to convince me that you give a fuck about anything else.
Also, I find it hilarious that you said, "Oh, let's all agree that we need more trust in the system, and let's do that by doing every fucking right wing thing known to man." That's what you want to do. You want to install right wing ideology on election. That's what you think will promote trust. I disagree with that wholeheartedly. So no, we are not on the same page.
So you're against IDs.
Oh, I don't think that you should even need to register to vote at this point. Yeah, honestly, who gives a shit about them, right? You think it's okay to rig them? Fuck it, dude. How about all you need to do to vote is just put a little tally with a fucking pencil on
Dude,
a public board somewhere in your
head,
head,
and
somewhere
you're
in your
going
town.
nutty. I crushed you and you're going nutty. Let's pick a new topic and I'll crush you on that one too.
You crushed nothing.
Rhett, listen, I get it. It is a very common thing that guests on my platform do when they lose, is to say that they didn't lose.
You
because
said that you
humans hate
proved
being
it,
wrong.
and there's no court case that proved anything. It's all hyperbolic conjecture.
Do you want me
by
to give you the name of the court case in one of the 7 states in which people from the Trump campaign were found guilty? Is that what you want? He would have been found guilty in a federal case if it
This
wasn't
had
just for the
nothing to
fact
do
that he
with
won
immunity.
re-election.
Can I also say
Nothing to
this?
do with
Yo,
immunity.
you're right. Yo, this whole rhetoric about there was no court case, therefore it's speculation, even though Trump admitted it, shit has to end. Let me ask you a question. If you literally witnessed a murder, okay, but then that murder never went to trial, would you say that your claim that person A unalived person B would therefore be speculative?
Dude,
It happens in reality all the time. You're a witness to murder, okay? Let's say you witnessed
you understand
Adam
what happened?
Schmurder. Listen, let's say you witnessed Adam Schmurder Andrew, okay? It never goes to court. Would you say your claim that Adam Schmurdered Andrew is therefore speculative?
I would say if somebody's sitting here and they say to Trent, you can
No, stop. Is your claim that Adam Schmurdered Andrew therefore speculative because it never went to court?
I'm not even following your silly bullshit.
God, it's
I just
less
wanna
than
talk
two
about the
sentences.
point.
A third grader could do better than you,
Why
right?
can't we
Come
just talk
on,
about
buddy.
the point?
Come on, buddy. Okay, I'll repeat it. 2 sentences. And by the way, if you can't follow this time, I will pull out the crayons and the polka dotted printer paper, and I will draw it out for you, Rhett. Here's the question: you witness Adam unalive Andrew.
Trump thought he was doing something legal.
Rhett,
so I
if,
witnessed
you're
somebody doing
obviously
something
not going to be
legal.
able to follow what I say if you're
Okay.
interrupting me, bud.
Dean,
I want to
analogy is
prove
wrong.
this point. And then a question can't be wrong. There's no truth value to questions, sir. Oh my God.
No, hold on. Okay, Adam
analogy's
believed
wrong.
that when he was unaliving Andrew, he was doing something good. Does that not make it like Schmurder?
Correct. Yes, 100%. Adam could have believed that he was getting ready to kill
No!
somebody. Spew somebody else. So yes,
Okay,
there's
I
other
just-
facts
You're
to
adding
it.
variables.
Seriously, I just want an
variables.
answer to my very simple question. You witness Adam unalive Andrew. Never goes to court. Is your claim that therefore Adam unalived Andrew speculative?
Thank you both for the $5 too. Thank you so much.
I don't understand what the hell you are talking about.
A third grader could understand that question.
No, they couldn't. Because the hypothetical that you're trying to draw isn't real. Trump did nothing illegal. So
How about this? How about this? You witness Adam unalive Andrew, but it never goes to court. Do you
why
still
is
yet
he
have good
unaliving
reason?
someone? Trump did nothing illegal.
Rhett, why the fuck are you talking about Trump? I'm talking about Adam and Andrew.
Okay,
I need you to
do
follow.
Adam and Andrew.
I
And he
need you
did
to.
nothing
I
illegal.
need you to follow. You witness Adam unalive Andrew, never goes to court. Are you still justified in believing that Adam unalived Andrew? If you need clarification on like my 5 words, feel free to ask.
Yeah, he's unalived.
Do you have good reason to believe that? That Adam unalived Andrew, even though it never went to court?
If the human being is no longer in existence and I watched it happen, yes, that would be a perfectly good assumption to make. Yes.
Right. So the reason why I'm so incredibly relevant is because although it was never proven in a court of law with a guilty verdict that Donald Trump sent these fake slates of electors to these 7 key swing states to steal the vote.
So
from
why did the
Biden.
Democrats stop doing
Hey,
it?
sir, if you interrupt me again, I don't even know what I'm going to do. I'm going to be upset, bud. Come on. How old are you? Let's get real quick, Rhett. What is your age?
I'm 48.
Why are you, at your old age, letting a 20-year-old be more mature than you?
Dude, you do not allow me to speak, and you keep saying stupid hypotheticals. Do a hypothetical where the person,
Sir,
whoever he is, thought he was doing something legal,
Can I
and I
please-
witnessed him do that, and then somebody else thinks it's illegal.
Can I please
What
ask you,
happened with
sir?
Trump?
Can I please ask you to be more mature than the 20-year-old? Is that a fair ask?
You,
Also, chat, that's not old, but it's old to me because I'm 20. How about that? How about that? The same way I'm sure that a 15-year-old would call me an unk, okay? Right? But listen, the point of the matter is I'm going to challenge you to be more mature than the person that's less than half your age. But
being that you
here's the
continue,
analogy. Are you ready?
am I allowed to speak and say yes?
You're allowed to say yeah.
Yes, sir, I am ready. Thank you.
Great. So here's my claim.
Do you feel
told me.
powerful?
Do I feel powerful? No, I feel powerless because there's absolutely nothing I could do to just get you to engage in a productive dialogue.
No, you're trying to force me to agree with you, and I keep combating it with facts, saying what you said is untrue.
I mean, actually,
It's not
right
been
now,
proven.
I'm just trying to force you to like engage in a productive dialogue. So,
Go
like,
for
once
it.
again, you
Let's
asked me if I
productive
feel
dialogue.
powerful. In situations like this, I feel powerless.
Okay.
I feel like I couldn't have or possess
Is that why you went
less
on that whole
power
diatribe
because
about
it is
feeling 20 years
absolutely
old?
unreal that no matter what I say, no matter what I do, there's nothing I can say or do to convince you to just have a productive dialogue. I honestly thought that my little manipulation tactic of saying I'm less than like half your age and I'm acting more mature than you would kind of be like that public embarrassment factor where you're like, oh, I got to shape it up. So like the 10,000 people watching don't think that the 20-year-old is more mature than me at near 50. I thought that would work. It's obviously proven not to work. So at this point, I think I'm out of options. My last option is just to do the force mute game. The force mute game sucks. Rhett, I hate it. It's my least favorite thing ever. I honestly, not even going to play it. So I'm going to unmute you, and I'm going to try to communicate this point to you one last time. So this pompous attitude, let it go. The interruptions, let it go. The cortisol levels, bring them down. Just a little bit. Now, I'm going to go back to what I was saying. So I asked you if you literally watched Adam unalive Andrew, but it never went to court, would you have good reason to believe that Adam unalived Andrew? You said yes. Okay. So we could use evidence to prove a claim outside of a verdict from a court. But I'd also like to clarify, you don't care about verdicts from courts because you don't think that Donald Trump raped E. Jean Carroll, even though the unanimous jury of 9 agreed. But I digress. My main point is that I have the evidence of an admission of guilt from Trump to prove that he tried to steal the election from Biden in 2020. He admitted to sending fake slates of electorates. He admitted to sending them with fake certificates of ascertainment. We have the fake certificates of ascertainment. He admitted to pressuring Mike Pence into certifying them as real. Bill Barr admitted that Donald Trump tried to pressure him into falsely announcing widespread voter fraud. You've admitted that he tried to literally, apparently legally, rig the outcome of the election. So when you hit me back with a claim that it wasn't proven in court, therefore it doesn't matter, okay? It does matter because although it wasn't proven in court, it was proven outside of court.
It was proven it happened, correct. It wasn't proven that he tried to steal anything because it may have rightfully been his. That's what the court was there to determine, and it never happened. Do you want me? Another thing I'd like to bring up, you just brought up Eugene Carroll, that there was a grape case, and that is a fact propaganda also. That case had nothing to do with grape, and you're repeating a lie, and you're repeating propaganda. Please stop doing it. What would you like me to destroy you on next?
It was all about grape. The action that he was held civilly liable for doing was the forceful penetration of her female member with his fingers. That is great.
Incorrect. That is not. It was a defamation lawsuit. You need to learn what you're talking about.
You could read the verdict form. The lawsuit was for both
You can read the verdict
defamation
form, but what they filed was a
and-
defamation lawsuit, sir.
You could
and it was
read
in civil court.
He was held.
You cannot
He was
be
held
criminally liable in civil court.
Sir, he was
So
held
what you said
sir,
was incorrect.
No, what I said was correct. He was held liable for both defamation and essay.
He was not. That was not even part of the case.
Yes, it was.
No, it wasn't. They charged for defamation. That's it.
No. You could read the court documents and see that he was literally fined $82 million for defamation on top of $4 million for essay.
Perfectly fine.
He was charged $4 million for essay. The verdict form was guilty of essay and of defamation. It was a court case to conclude defamation and essay. So tell me that you're wrong. Say, Dean, I just lied and I'm sorry.
So you need to say it because this is never. You said that he was a criminal, and it was not in criminal court. You lied, Deanie.
He never said that.
I never
You
said
lied,
that.
Deanie Weenie. He's not a criminal.
He never said that.
What?
Yeah, he did.
I mean, he
said
is a
was
criminal
dedicated
because, you know, the
criminal.
paper
Wait,
counts, but
wait. I never said shit. I said that he was held liable for grape. I said, yes, I think he was, yeah. So the action that he was held liable for was
You believe that happened also?
The action that he was held liable for was the forceful penetration of E. Jean Carroll's female member with his fingers. I think that is grape.
You guys love repeating the propaganda that's created, and then you don't understand why you keep losing elections.
Which
No
part of
one
that statement?
believes
Which
that-
part of
no
that
one
statement?
believes
Wait,
the
I have a
case
question.
In general,
Wait,
is
I have
valid.
a question. Which part of that statement was propaganda? Was it propaganda to say that he was held liable?
The entire case is
No.
propaganda.
Listen, was it propaganda to say that he was held liable for the forceful penetration of a female member with his fingers, or was it propaganda to say that the forceful penetration of the female member with fingers is grape? Which part of my statement was false?
Neither of those are
So both of those statements are true.
correct.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
So then why the
You're
fuck were
working
you
off
calling
of
me
the
a liar?
propaganda
Then
that was
why the
created.
fuck were you calling me a liar? Why did you just try to go on this like little rant and monologue saying that Dean, you're wrong, you're a liar. The case had nothing to do with SA. It was only defamation, nothing to do with SA. Oh my God, do you hear yourself? So let me get this straight. The case had nothing to do with SA, but the case had all to do with SA simultaneously at the same time by the same person saying it? What? Rhett, this is insanity. I can't even believe what my ears are hearing, dude. I mean, wow. Color me shocked. Just kidding. I am so used to this shit.
And by the way, a person who only complains about left-wing propaganda are they themselves propagandists, because you're not even willing to admit that the right wing does any of it. So I'm sorry, but like every time you say that propaganda, I'm gonna be like it washes over me because I don't listen to like propagandists also. So
Okay, also I just want to say, Rhett, spending $70 to get cooked this bad is crazy.
I know, what a waste of money.
Do you want me to, Rhett, do you want me to refund you? I will.
Yeah, I would. Please.
You got it, dude. I will happily refund that.
He might need the money.
Because listen,
I'll hold you to it.
I feel bad like broiling you as hard as I am.
Dude, you have no
But
idea
you
how
also-
bad you look right now.
But you also pay. I will refund, and that's not even a joke. I will do that.
Okay, I appreciate that. Next question I would have is, were you aware in 2016 when Brennan, the head of the CIA, met with Obama and Clinton, or Obama and Biden, and told them in the White House that Hillary Clinton was getting ready to activate a plot to attach Donald Trump to Russia in order to distract from her email campaign? Are you two aware that that happened?
I will happily respond to your claim about 2016 after you respond to any of the 10 billion fucking claims that I've made to disprove your statements that you have left in the dust.
Which claim did I not respond to yet?
You specifically said that it was untrue that the civil court between E. Jean Carroll and Donald Trump had anything to do with SA, and it was only about defamation.
That was what I believed, correct?
That was what you believed?
So
That's what I believe. Yeah, yes, correct.
So
Past
if,
tense?
if it was only about defamation and then not about SA, why was he fined $4 million for SA?
Because the Democratic Party likes to create propaganda for you guys to repeat.
So you don't think it's true he was fined $4 million for SA in that same court case?
I think the entire case is BS, and so does the whole country.
But
That's why Trump won.
That's a different claim. You could say the case is BS, but that's a different
It
claim
is.
than the case for SA didn't happen. So,
And as said,
I mean,
I
let me
don't
try to like explain to you the equivocation you're making. You're saying that the case didn't have anything to do with SA, but then as soon as I'm like, yes, it did. He was fined $4 million.
Prove it. Pull it up and show it to me.
You're just like, pull up the verdict form.
He's so like back and forth. Yes, I agree. No, I don't agree. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, no,
I'm
no.
trying to move on to a new topic
No.
because
Let
I've
me
restored
just
you on this.
let me explain to
I'm
you
bored with this
let me explain
destruction
to you
I
the
have.
equivocation you're making.
Oh, please do, because you're so much more intelligent. That's why I keep making you look the fool.
Anyways, so you made the claim that the civil court case was only about defamation. and
Yes,
had
that's still what I
nothing-
believe.
One moment, and had nothing to do with SA. And then I'm like, well, in the verdict form of the court. He was held liable for SA and fined $4 million for it. But then you're like, well, it wasn't propaganda. It didn't actually happen. Okay, but this is an equivocation that you're making here. Because the first claim is that he just literally didn't have any civil court proceedings about SA at all, and there's only defamation. And the second claim you're making is, well, it was a part of the civil proceedings that he was held liable for SA, and he was fined for it, but it just didn't happen, and it was a fake claim. So which one is it? Was he held liable for SA, but it never happened? Or was he not held liable for SA and only defamation?
I'll answer the same way I did before. I don't know. It is my opinion that it was only regarding defamation. That is what I know of the case. Correct.
Have you ever read the court documents?
No, I have not. Why would I spend time on your guys' propaganda?
So
If
wait, Rhett, how do you know it's propaganda if you've never read the court documents? That's like me saying that all the food in your fridge is spoiled, even though I don't even know where you live.
When they do the Russian tactics of changing laws in order to bring the case because it's all political, that means it's all political. So from that point forward, any rational human being would say, yeah, this is all political and I'm not going to pay any attention to any of this because it's the left once again creating propaganda, just like Hillary did in 2016, that you two will not talk about.
Okay, so no laws were changed specifically for E. Jean Carroll with the intention of allowing political propaganda to be brought against Trump.
That is absolutely untrue.
I want to respond to that claim second, because I want to ask you here. If you're saying that the verdict of the court was false, all that you're saying is that the jury ruled he was guilty without enough evidence, right? Right?
I didn't hear what you were saying.
When you say that the case was propaganda and like the verdict was wrong, what that means is that the jury ruled Trump was guilty without enough evidence that Trump was guilty, right?
No, the whole case is bullshit. All the evidence is bullshit. It's all bullshit.
Wait.
Everyone knows that. That's why Trump won, dude.
Wait.
You guys can keep pushing this crap.
Yeah,
No one believes.
more propaganda. So I want to clarify here. You just denied that the jury ruled with insufficient evidence. So you think that the jury had sufficient evidence Trump was guilty, but Trump's not guilty? That is intelligible nonsense.
He denies all
Unintelligible
like Trump illegality. He thinks Trump did nothing wrong ever. Like, he's basically Jesus Christ, right? I mean, Trump is just like...
Yeah. I just want you to be clear, because this is a binary. It's either one or the other. Did the jury rule with insufficient evidence to find Trump guilty, that he was guilty, or did the jury just straight up have enough evidence to say that he was guilty? Which one was it?
The law was changed in 2019.
You're not answering my question. I will happily allow you. To avoid this question. Did the jury have enough evidence to determine Trump was guilty, or did the jury not have enough evidence to determine that the Trump was guilty? For somebody that's saying Trump was ruled as being guilty, but in all actuality he was innocent, this answer should be easy. Like, which
They
one
didn't have
was it?
enough evidence. They did not have enough evidence.
Great. So you're saying that the jury ruled Trump was guilty without enough evidence of Trump's guilt. Name one piece of evidence.
What? Name one piece of evidence of what?
Name one piece of evidence that E. Jean Carroll's attorneys submitted to the jury inside of the civil court that the jury then used to hold him liable.
One of them was a dress that she said she was in that wasn't even produced until after that happened.
See, this is why you need to read the court documents. Because if
Did
you
that
read
happen?
It didn't.
Did what I just say happen?
No. If you're going to say a claim, I'm going to respond to the claim. Are you real? Are you a human?
No.
Dude, you have problems.
Oh, I have problems because I
Look at
want to
your anger
debunk
issues because somebody's pointing out that you're wrong.
I would like to clarify. I'm not angry. I'm assertive. There's a big difference between those two claims. Now, I do understand that the level of assertiveness that I'm suggesting in my conversation with you is quite extreme, but the extreme level of assertiveness that I am portraying in our conversation is justified because if I wasn't this assertive, you would be derailing the conversation every 10 seconds because you are scared of the truth. And I'm damn good at proving the truth, okay? I've kind of made a career out of it. But anyways, you said that a piece of evidence that the jury used to find Trump guilty was a dress. That claim is not true. In fact, the judge denied that the dress could be entered into the court as a piece of evidence because Donald Trump denied to submit his DNA to be tested against the DNA on the dress. And because Donald Trump denied to submit his DNA for that reason, therefore, the judge ruled that the dress was merely speculatory. Because the only evidence that his DNA was on it was E. Jean Carroll's testimony. So he denied the dress too. And that's why it's important for you to read the court documents. Also, I'm going to say this as well. You said that the dress only
Literally the part I'm talking about that the
you also said that the dress only begun being produced after 1996. Yet another false claim. That claim does not originate from the manufacturer of the dress. I'm actually pretty sure that claim originates from an alt-right Russian misinformation website. Not the manufacturer. The manufacturer never said it. Do you want to bet money? Let's do it. I say what?
I mean, he already did.
I want to
$70,
bet
and he already lost
dude,
it.
I want to bet lots of money with you. I want to bet so much money with you, you'd be.
Let's do okay.
broken in a week.
Let's bet $100 that the manufacturer never said the dress was only begun being produced after.
I don't need the manufacturer to say that. Can other people say it? Just like what you had before. Can other people make a claim? I don't need the manufacturer to make a claim.
So how do you know that the dress only begun production after 1996?
Because they can look up. That's the first time it ever went for sale. That's what production means, sir.
Okay. Would you
Just
be able to
like
give me
they
the
can
evidence for the
verify
claim?
Hunter Biden's laptop by simply
please give-
asking the other person if they received the email. But you lied about that earlier too.
So therefore, please give me the evidence for the claim that this dress only begun being produced following 1996. You won't be able to do it because
Type.
like the evidence for the claim is misinfo. I'll wait though.
You are live on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Oh, hey YouTube, how's it going?
Yippee. All right, hey, while he's looking for the evidence that doesn't exist, I'm going to go and thank a couple donors real quick. Sid, thank you so much for the $50 over on YouTube Super Chat. That is so incredibly kind of you, Sid. Thank you so much for the love. Let's get 500 Sid's down below in all of those live chats. Sid says, hey, dude, so excited for Texas. OMG. Sid, I'm so excited for Texas, too. I cannot wait to meet you. We're going to have a fun day down there. Thank you so much for the love, Sid. Also, Wayne, once again, thank you so much for the 70 ZAR. And then Argina with a $20 over on YouTube Super Chat. 200 in Argina W's. And Argina says, I don't understand the point of him going on and on about the Hunter Biden laptop thing, then just right out ignores everything that the right does to threaten democracy. Well, it's because this guy is like a partisan hack. And for those curious, by the way, Rhett actually worked on Trump's campaign. So he's going to defend Trump till the bitter end. It actually would have been pretty valuable for me to bring that up before now.
So he's a
the
true
last
believer.
Yeah. The last time he came up, I got him to concede that Trump Gaza was ethnic cleansing. And then he argued that ethnic cleansing was good. So, by the way, he actually just got a ban.
Well, I mean, I will say though, now that I know that he's from like the Trump campaign, it does make more sense why he's the propagandist here because like you know, like a true real propagandist. I mean, you know, they do like, you know, work on campaigns and follow their guy to the bitter end and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, no, he's like literally definitionally speaking a propagandist. By the way, hey, what's going on, Lisa? Do you support Trump? Lisa is not here, so we're going to move on to the next guest. If you are one of the 7,000 people in the live stream and you do support the president and you'd like to come up here and have a debate with me, make sure that you drop a MAGA down below in that live comment section. We're going to get you up here for a conversation. And if you're one of the 7,000 people watching the live, good to have you in here. Make sure to hit that follow button, new Dean account, and make sure that you're double tapping on that phone screen and sharing that live. I'd also like to point out that TikTok censorship has been heavy when this live gets taken down, not if, and it's actually going to be right now. So it's actually going to be literally right now, quite frankly. Everyone hit that follow button. Go ahead and hit that follow button. We're going to go and restart the live. I'll be right back. Click on that profile picture. We're just going to do a quick restart because of what that last guest just did. But we've also had a bunch of flags throughout the day. So I was going to do a restart anyways. It is a good idea.